Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's been a little bit. Well, I guess it's been about a week. Actually, much quicker this time. So, hey, good afternoon. Welcome. It's good to be here. Yeah, so I am off work this week and I have not a whole lot going on. So, I was kind of trying to think of things to do to kill some time, maybe do some streams. And I don't have any immediate projects I want to work on myself. Like, there are things that I guess I could potentially work on, but I it's kind of funny because like my home lab needs are kind of met at the moment. Like ultimately a lot of the things I really wanted to accomplish like work pretty much flawlessly, and at this point like doing something crazy like I don't know, writing my own DHCP client with better metrics and stuff like doesn't really sound like a lot of fun. So yeah, we're just gonna explore around a little bit, and there's been a lot of really cool work going on with this go4.org/intern repo. This is some really neat unsafe trickery, and on top of that, this is being used in the inet.af netaddr package, which is also very interesting. Hey, Taryn, welcome back. Thank you so much for the sub for 8 months. Wow, that's pretty cool. So I've been doing this for 8 months, I guess, not continuously, but hey, it's thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. Yeah, so this has been a pretty cool project I've been taking a look at, and I want to kind of go through it with you all, and I guess kind of learn about this together. And I think this could also be worth like a blog write-up, because what's interesting about this is that when we're using unsafe in Go, like we're taught these rules of unsafe, right? Like there are certain things that you are or are not allowed to do, but in this particular case, we are intentionally breaking one of the unsafe rules, and that is there's this package here, this import called go4.org/unsafe assume no moving GC. And specifically what this means is assume no moving heap or no heap moving GC. So once a pointer is in the heap, my understanding is it will never be moved by the garbage collector. But the way the unsafe rules are written makes it so that you were not supposed to rely on this behavior. So this underscore import here is actually a small kind of pseudo package, which is also pretty interesting. So let's open that up first, I suppose. Uh, so basically what this is doing is, let's see, package comment should be the form. Okay, here we go. So this package exists so you can depend on it from unsafe code that wants to declare that it assumes that the Go runtime does not use a moving garbage collector. This package is then updated for new Go versions when that is still the case and explodes at runtime with a failure otherwise unless an environment variable overrides it. So you import this package with an underscore import, and this will continue to be updated for newer versions of Go. So if by chance Go 1.18 or 1.19 were to break some of these invariants, then this package will explode loudly. And we are able to, as long as it remains up to date and you keep pulling updated dependencies, you'll be able to see that and know that, like, hey, something fundamental in this code is no longer correct, and there may need to be a new workaround. So there's also a way to override this. Assume no moving GC, unsafe risk it with. Pretty funny. And the way this works is just text the current Go version, uses a build tags. This is going to build up until Go 1.18, figuring that if there was going to be a new garbage collector or like a new implementation, like we might see that, in a couple of Go releases, we'd have a lot of heads up and could actually change this as appropriate. But basically, if the Go version now is above a certain point, or it's above like 1.18, it'll say something in this program imports this package to declare that it assumes hang on a sec, a non-moving garbage collector, but your version of go4.org unsafe hasn't been updated to assert that it's safe against the current version runtime. If you want to risk it, run with the environment variable big scary thing set. Notably, if the Go version adds a moving garbage collector, this program is unsafe to use. And of course, that's something that would be pretty bad, right? So, slow work day here. Yeah, I can imagine. I think that like there are probably some people working this week, but yeah, I mean, I had some time off, so I figured why not take it, and I'm just doing some stuff around the house. There are lots more things I would like to do, but just with COVID and everything else, it's kind of hard right now. Is this centered? I think it is. Yeah, not a lot going on here, so I figure I will stream at least 1 or 2 days this week. I figured that today would be a good day to start, get going on that. Let me get rid of the hoodie really quick. I'm wearing like all DigitalOcean stuff today. It's pretty funny. I was there for 4.5 years, so I got all kinds of freebies and stuff. But the Hacktoberfest shirt, the old hoodie, everything else, the sweatpants, pretty nice. Yeah, so this package basically, like, if you do something like super crazy with unsafe, like you should import this in your code, and that way people who consume your package will be able to know, like, hey, there's something very suspicious going on. But going back to the intern package, so this is kind of what I want to focus on today. So this is pretty cool. Package intern lets you make smaller comparable values by boxing a larger comparable value, such as a 16-byte string header, down into a globally unique 8-byte pointer. So I believe the entire reason this came up is in the inet.af netaddr package. Originally, there was an IP address type, and the IP address type took at least, let's see here, so for v6, it would take a minimum of 32 bytes. Hey, Paul Wanjohi, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. It would take a minimum of 32 bytes. So the way that inet.af netaddr represents addresses now, as of very recently, is 2 uint64s. So an IPv4 address is stuffed into just one of those. An IPv6 address is split across the two because Go does not have a uint 128. So that is 2 uint64s, meaning 16 bytes. X5A17ED, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Nice hex. Oh, are we going to be doing some bit shifting magic? Kind of. So I'm going to go through this package and like just kind of explain what's going on here. I'm learning about this a little bit myself too. I've taken a brief look at it, but we're going to kind of learn together because I think this is something really unique and interesting. And most people don't really dive into unsafe, let alone intentionally breaking the unsafe rules. So this is something very unique and interesting. So what I was saying is, an IP address type in that package would take a minimum of 16 bytes to represent v6 addresses. And if you want to have a zone associated, so for example, with IPv6 link local addresses, you have the interface index zone. A string header is 16 bytes because you have 8 bytes for the length and capacity of the string because strings are immutable. So length and capacity are one value is my understanding. And then there's the pointer, which on AMD 64 would be 8 bytes, for example. So you have uint64, uint64, and then string header, and that's 32 bytes. If you want to break your brain about IP parsing, there's a Twitter thread going around about valid IPv4-6 representations. Yes, actually, that Twitter thread was spawned because of this project. Like, Dave is writing a faster IP address parser for this package, or for the netaddr package. And yeah, that's where that whole thing started. And I saw it was on like Hacker News as well. So in the netaddr repository, I think that the goal was to make it so that the zone could be collapsed down into an 8-byte value instead of a 16-byte value, just to make it smaller. Let's see here. Didn't know you were streaming on Twitch. Not sure if you remember me. I was working on projects involving your wonderful netlink package about a year ago. Nice. Very cool. Thank you very much for that library. Made my life easier. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Actually, I just released version 1.2.0 last week. So I would highly recommend upgrading. This version only supports Go 1.12+. So if you are still on an older version, like, we can no longer accept like the compromises we had to make to keep that going. So you can use version 1.1.1 with its bugs. But if you're on Go 1.12+, which you really should be, frankly, then you can use version 1.2.0 and it should be faster, and I don't think it has any open bugs at the moment, actually. So let's see. I went through yesterday and closed a few things out because I figured that they were either so far out of date or so far out of reality with where we are. Yeah. So no open issues right now, no open pull requests, Go 1.12+ only. So version 1.2.0, check this out. What we did is, let's see here. So improvement, definitely improvement. Support for Go 1.11 and below has been dropped. All users are highly recommended to use a stable and supported release of Go for their applications. There are unfortunately some LTS distros and such packaging things like Go 1.9 and 1.10. But at this point, like, they can use version 1.1.1. Like, I'm not interested in maintaining older versions anymore. It became too difficult. I could not fix fundamental problems with the library. We were missing the appropriate APIs for the runtime network poller, just a pain in the neck. Easy with the thing. Hi, nice to see you. You're not with the company anymore where I use that library, so it's not a concern for me anymore. Gotcha. But I'll keep it in mind if I need to do anything netlink related again. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, it's been used in lots of big, successful projects and stuff, so that's great. Hey, Large Data Bank, welcome. Thank you back, or thank you for stopping by. Appreciate that. Hope you're having a nice holiday as well. I guess I don't even know if you're off work this week, but hope you're doing well. Another thing in the new version, so Netlink Con no longer requires a locked OS thread for the vast majority of operations, which should result in a significant speedup for highly concurrent callers. So Timo actually made this change, and we were able to get rid of a lot of the OS thread locking logic because it turns out it's only necessary at the moment when you are doing the actual initial bind and everything into the network namespace. But otherwise, you can access the socket concurrently now, which is great, so it should make things much better. And finally, we fixed a bug so that the con close is now able to unblock a concurrent call to con receive. And this is something that we wanted to do for a long time anyway, and I think it used to work, but we had to break it in order to, I don't remember. There was a workaround, like basically you could set a timeout in the past to immediately unblock it and then close, but this is no longer a problem because we switched from mutex to atomics. So pretty easy. So yeah, check out version 1.2.0 if you're using netlink stuff. It should be better in every way. So back to where we were at. So this intern package, like the goal of this, I guess, is to make it so that the IP address type in netaddr is only 24 bytes. So you have 16 bytes for representing the IP, 8 bytes for representing the zone, which is just a pointer, and that's it. So it's smaller, more compact, just makes things easier. I don't understand the entire context from like the tail scale perspective because I haven't been working on that project. But I just thought this was really fascinating and I want to go through this. So the globally unique pointers are garbage collected with weak references and finalizers. This package hides that. So this is where we are getting kind of into the weeds. So if you have like a pointer, a typed pointer in Go, my understanding is that would be a strong reference. Like the Go garbage collector is aware that this thing is pointer shaped and points to some portion of memory. And as a result, like outside of unsafe code, like, you know, it will handle any of the invariants for you. What's the alternative to this package? I'm not sure what you mean. What's the alternative to which package? This is just something new. This is an interesting performance optimization. Like, the alternative is to do things in a safe way, but this makes things faster by using tricks. The GitHub repo is github.com, go4.org/intern. The import is go4.org/intern. So, this package actually has a very small API. You have this value type. There is a get function, which will construct a value. And then you call get on the value to produce a value that is comparable. Wow, special stream explaining the Tailscale Squad's work, Pog. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I just thought this was pretty cool. I really like unsafe stuff, and I don't have any of my own projects I immediately want to work on, so I figured this would be a fun place to start and just discuss this. I think this would be something fun to blog about as well, just this pattern. So the whole point of this package is to create comparable values which are small. So a value here, a value pointer, is the handle to an underlying comparable value. See func get for how value pointers may be used. So there's something tricky here. Like normally with Go, with structs, you could just do, you know, struct equals struct, right? There is this here, underscore an array of 0 functions, prevent people from accidentally using the value type as comparable. So there is some magic going on here, so they don't want you comparing this directly. So this is a neat little trick you can use, actually. I've seen this before, but this is worth mentioning. If you have a type that you want to make sure people don't use with the equality operator, so for example, if you want to have your own equal method, you could implement the equal method and add a call like this. And I believe this is totally optimized away by the compiler, but this prevents equality comparisons, so this is pretty useful. You have the underlying comparable value, which is boxed into an empty interface. And you have this resurrected value. So this is pretty interesting. So resurrected is guarded by mu for all instances of value, and it's set to true whenever v is synthesized from a uint pointer. And this is where things really start getting into the weeds, because we are breaking the rules about keeping pointer things pointer shaped. So the Go garbage collector is no longer aware that that thing is a pointer, and if in the future Go were to implement a heap moving garbage collector, then the invariants in this package are completely broken. So if you want to actually compare these things, you call this get function. This returns the comparable value passed to the get func that returned v. So you have this value type that you get by calling the top level get constructor. You call get here, and you can compare this thing. And then this is where things are going to get really interesting, right? So, MTLCon Pog. We play unsafe games here that violate Go's rules and assume a non-moving collector. So we quiet Go here. See the comment below get for implementation details. Go, no check pointer. So I think it was Go 113 or 114. So M. Dembski introduced a thing called check pointer. So if you are breaking unsafe rules and the compiler can identify, or vet can identify that, it will actually let you know, which is really nice. So I actually noticed and fixed a couple of problems in my own code related to that by not necessarily ensuring that I was copying data, for example, using an unsafe cast into 2 arrays of the same size. So we are intentionally turning off that safeguard here because we know what we're doing, right? Why is the package named intern? So my understanding is that intern in computer science means that, like, basically Hang on a sec. Intern computer science. Let's look up a definition. It's probably better than me. Oh, shoot. Intern terminology. Here's this nice feature to create safe code. Let's turn this off. Yeah, exactly. Hang on a sec. So string interning. I know this is here we go. So this will do a better job explaining it than I can. In computer science, string interning is a method of storing only one copy of each distinct string value, which must be immutable. Interning strings makes some string processing tasks more time and or space efficient at the cost of requiring more time when the string is created or interned. The distinct values are stored in a string intern pool. I too use C. Yeah, so basically the idea here is that like you can create the for an IPv6 address, if you have a zone identifier attached to it, you're able to create the zone once, such as like eth0, eth1, and then any future calls to eth0, eth1 will reuse the same string from the pool instead of allocating a new one. So the string is interned there, and as a result, they're able to make this the type smaller and also save on allocations by not having to create more strings. So it's pretty cool. So the constructor function here is get, and get returns a pointer to the comparable value CMP val. So the returned pointer will be the same for get v and get v2 if and only if v equals v2 and can be used as a map key. So this is where the magic comes in. Like you're giving it some kind of, let's just look at the tests actually. There's something here to clear the local or clear the global stuff going on. Let's see here. The xnet HTML package does the same thing for tag names, doesn't it? It looks close to what the atoms are in that package. It's possible. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've seen this. I don't know if I've seen this trick before, especially with the weak references and turning off check pointer. But it's possible. There might be something very similar. What's up, Jackace? So here, for example, we call get with foo, get with bar, and then we create foo2 and bar2. And instead of creating the value for these twice, the underlying value is now interned. So these foo and foo2 refer to the same comparable value, and bar2 also refer to the same comparable value. So for example here, foo get must equal foo2 get, and then foo get must equal foo, the original input value as well. So this is basically this is kind of the basics of this, but the way this is actually implemented is quite interesting. Couple of stress tests in here, making the garbage collector run, trying to empty things out. Clear map, file map. Okay, so this is just clearing the global map underneath the intern strings map. So you can't actually control when the strings are garbage collected, but there's a comment down below that explains that. And also what's interesting about this is that the default version of this is unsafe. But there's also a safe version you can use. So you can specify this environment variable, go for intern safe but leaky, and you will continue to amass string values, but you get all of the safety features back. Does Go GC stop the world? My understanding is that I've been in the Go community for a long time. I believe there is still some small stop the world phase, but it's much, much less than it used to be, because the garbage collector is able to do much more work concurrently. And there's also the GC assist. So if a Go routine or an OS thread is creating a lot of garbage, it's also forced to help with garbage collection. So it kind of like reins itself in a little bit. So my understanding is that I think there is still a stop the world, but it's very brief. Does your boss know you're streaming instead of working? Hey, I got the week off. I'm good to go. Straight chilling. So what's really interesting about this is that we have the unsafe version here using this val map, which is a map of empty interface, because empty interface can be compared, so you can use it as a map key, to uint pointer. And by storing these things as uint pointers, they have lost their pointerness property to Go's garbage collector. So as a result now, you have no idea, like, the Go garbage collector is no longer able to update these memory addresses in the future if Go were to implement a garbage collector that moved values around in the heap, which it does not at the moment. I actually did see something pretty interesting. So M. Dembski pointed out on the issue tracker for the unsafe assume no moving GC that Go does move stacks around. So values that are on the stack, it is possible they will be moved. So this would actually not work. This technique would not work for values that are stack allocated, but for heap allocated values, it's fine. So things like strings. But like, for example, if you were to use this with like integers, then frankly, I don't know. but also an integer is small enough where like you're not getting any benefit out of putting it in a value, because a pointer is 8 bytes and the maximum size integer is 8 bytes anyway. So this is really for bigger things like strings or possibly much larger types. Yeah, but interestingly, so there's the unsafe version, there's also the safe version here. So instead of getting a map of interface to unit pointer, you get a map of interface to pointers to value. And by preserving this pointerness property, the Go garbage collector is able to know that these values remain valid pointers in the Go heap. And presuming some future version of Go where there is a stop the world phase and it does a garbage collection, it's able to actually take those pointer addresses and update them, and then your program continues running and you haven't violated any of the invariants. So I guess breaking this down here, there's a little bit of code to handle the different branches. So for the safe map versus the unsafe map, I think first we could probably go through the unsafe stuff because I think that's pretty interesting. We can also read through this. This actually isn't very much code. So, I mean, even with the comments and stuff like this, you know, this is like a couple hundred lines and there's this big comment at the end. So he's back. Hello there. Hope you had a nice holiday. Yes, I did. Excellent. Actually, it was very nice. Got to see my family for a little bit. I've got to spend a lot of time with I've got to spend a lot of time talking to people I really care about, you know. I think something that's something I've realized is really important to me is taking that time and making that effort, you know, because like I've got friends who live, I mean, really all over the world, but you know, people who have moved away or moved on to different areas or whatever else, you know, just give them a phone call. Give them a phone call, say hi, let them know you're thinking of them. You know, that's important. And that's something that I'm trying to be better about, you know. And I tell you what, I definitely miss my conference and my tech friends too. It's been a long time, you know. I think the last time I traveled for tech was let's see, GopherCon of last year in San Diego, I think. Or was it GopherCon or was it KubeCon? I think GopherCon was in July and KubeCon was in November, I believe. Hey, Barrick Mitch, welcome. Good to see you here. Yeah, I think GopherCon, yeah, KubeCon for sure. I know KubeCon was the last time I traveled, but Cryptopsy, welcome. Thank you for the follow. KubeCon, you came to my talk. Yes, I did. It's kind of funny because I was actually thinking, you know, I've only flown once this year, and I don't fly a ton compared to other people in tech, but it's like, you know, usually 6 or 8 times a year, pretty easy. And it's been very strange not doing that. And it just occurred to me, like I was complaining about, you know, connecting from Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo has an airport. It has 5 gates. But if you go from the Kalamazoo airport, more often than not, you have to go through Chicago O'Hare as your connection. And Chicago O'Hare is awful. Like ORD is where dreams go to die. Like that is my personal hell. Not only are Chicago people awful, sorry for saying Chicago people in here, but the airport is just miserable. So it's good to not be there. I go through Minneapolis if I can. May you ask the motivation between inet.af and netaddr? Yeah, so that's actually also an interesting topic. Let's see here. Taylor and Kalamazoo has an airport. Yes. Figured you have to go up to Lansing? No, actually, Grand Rapids is the airport I use more often on this side of the state, but more recently I've been driving to Detroit because, frankly, it's worth a direct flight. Like, for San Diego, I would have had to connect from, you know, O'Hare or some other hell, and I just drove to Detroit instead. It's like a 2-hour drive, and especially now with my new car, it's like I don't even mind driving. But, of course, I haven't, you know, driven to the airport since I've got my car. But so first, this package is work in progress. Don't use it yet. I mean, up to you. But this is a package containing new IP address type for Go. See its docs and the motivation. There are numerous issues where the current representation of the IP is awkward and difficult. So, for example, because the current net IP is a byte slice, it is mutable. You can have really weird things like a net IP that is 3 bytes or some other random stuff. I personally find the IPv4 mapped IPv6 address behaviors super annoying. Like, nobody actually uses those in the real world anymore, and I want them to go away, and I'm arguing pretty hard for that. So consider the representation of the IP because byte slices are big. You know, they've got the length, the capacity, the pointer, as well as the underlying array. You have to allocate a lot of memory. Parse Ip doesn't return an error, for example, so you return nil instead. A lot of those things return nil if there's an invalid input. It's just weird. And then you're unable to reliably distinguish between an IPv4 mapped IPv6 address and a regular IPv4 address. So there's just a lot of different reasons why the current net IP is a thorn in my and others' sides. And in particular, this netaddr package was kind of an experiment to try a new representation. And now it's becoming really, really fast because I guess the Tailscale folks need that. I would have to speak with them more to understand what their needs are in that particular situation. But I've been using this in my own code for a number of months, and I'm also very happy with the API as well. It's just much simpler. So for example, is this a v6 address versus saying, okay, IP.216 not equals nil and IPv4 or IP.24 equals nil. Like, the way which you have to differentiate stuff in the standard library is just a huge hassle. So this package is getting pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's all come out so far. There's also a CIDR type in here. You can check if like CIDR ranges overlap and whatever else. So kind of over time, I'm migrating all of my stuff to use this. So CoreRed, for example, uses this pretty much exclusively. DTW is a mixed bag. If you fly Delta, McNamara is great. The rest of the airport sucks. Yes. Yeah, if I go to Detroit, I'm almost always flying Delta. I think the only time I haven't really is a couple of international flights. So, and then you got to go to North Terminal, and it's whatever, Which car? I got a 2021 Subaru Outback Touring. It is very, very nice. I was rocking a 2005 Pontiac Grand Prix for a very long time, longer than I needed to, but in West Michigan, we get lake effect snow, and it's pretty nasty. And I mean, this year hasn't been bad at all yet, but it's going to be. And the Subaru dealership here is doing a deal where if I took delivery of the car before January 4th, I get 0% financing for 5 years. So I bought the car, I did a down payment, but it's like now my payment is $400 a month for 5 years with no interest. Like, it would be foolish of me to not take advantage of that, So that's exactly what I did, and I'm really excited about it. And it's nice having my first brand new car. I can really enjoy it. It's a joy to drive. I'm having a good time playing with things like, the engine braking, the manual paddle shifters, all the features. Like, I'm coming from an '05, so it's like I've never had backup camera or front camera or heated steering wheel or all this stuff. Like, it's just so ridiculous, but I love it. And here we say, use your car in good days to congratulate a new car. Yeah, I'm really excited. And it's great. Like, I just enjoy driving. Like, when I was 16, I remember in Michigan you need a car, right? So like when I turned 16, I got my first car, and I remember just feeling kind of like a joy and appreciating the machine and taking it out on the road. And I'm feeling that with my new car too, which is amazing. Oh, let's see here. Really nice you're taking care of it. NetIP also struck me as weird when I had to work with it for the first time, but I couldn't exactly put my finger on what's weird about it. Yeah, so this package is just kind of a different take, and it's like, whether or not this ever ends up in a package net v2, I don't know. But myself and several others are pretty invested in trying something different and seeing how it goes, and I'm pretty happy with this so far. So we're gonna stick with this, and we're gonna see what happens, But yeah, so far so good. Lake effect snow is no joke. Yeah, totally. A couple of years ago we had oh god, what was it? I don't even remember the phrase anymore, but it's like, we had like a massive amount of snow and like -40 wind chill and stuff, and it was just god awful. So like, yeah, Kalamazoo gets a pretty serious amount of snow depending on the winter. Can you write a blog post about all the things you're doing with your car? I keep on seeing the tweets. Would love to read all those in a post. Yeah, so I actually haven't done anything yet, but I have ideas. But certainly if I come up with a project like that, like for example, my car has an app for remote start. It costs a subscription fee because, of course, 2021 or 2020. And actually, I could just make API calls and like start my car and pull stats and stuff. So that's something I kind of want to do. But a friend who works in like the HVAC industry also pointed out fairly that if I were to, for example, possibly damage the car or do something, by using an unofficial application, I may potentially void the warranty or something. So I haven't decided if it's worth it yet. Frankly, if I have to remote start my car, maybe 3 times a week during the winter or something, like, is it really worth me writing a Go program and doing all that stuff? I don't know. But if I do anything with it, I will certainly blog about it. I think that's a really cool project, Polar vortex. Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, the polar vortex was that was a real thing. That was real nasty. It got to the point where basically like I had to go outside and start my car every day just to make sure that like it still worked, You constantly go through the struggle of loving Michigan when it's not winter and hating it when it is. Yeah, I feel that. I think that a lot of my gripes went away when I started working from home because I no longer had to commute in the snow. But also, now that since I work from home anyway, but now that I have a car with all-wheel drive, maybe I won't even care anymore. I appreciate winter. I appreciate like how beautiful everything looks, and I appreciate getting outside and doing some stuff. But yeah, it is cold. So Taryn mentions about NetIP, limited functions to work with it, and hard to distinguish between v4 and v6. Yeah, exactly. The polar vortex is why I moved back to California from New York. Yeah, I can't blame you. I mean, California is really nice. The Pacific Northwest and everything, those are all beautiful places. And I've considered, there were times where I considered making the move, especially early in my career before I started working for DigitalOcean. Like, I kind of figured I would have to go to San Francisco or, or something. And I never did. Like, I was able to get a remote job in Kalamazoo, and I've been here ever since. And I've made peace with that. I enjoy getting to travel and see my tech friends at conferences and such. But ultimately, like, it's not as important to me to be in that tech mecca anymore. And I've actually found local meetups and local people. So it's been really great. And of course, I can do things like this and connect with you all. Like, you all are probably all over the world right now. And I'm here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. There's probably, how many programmers in town? Not many, but I can connect with people everywhere and go to my conferences and do whatever else. That's really great. Garepa, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Canadian here, winter is still the bane of my existence. You moved from Stockholm to Seattle for the heat and sunshine. Nice. Oh, those are different usernames, sorry. Canadian here, winter is the bane of my existence. Yeah, I can understand that. Clay has moved from Stockholm to Seattle for the heat and sunshine. Yeah, I'm sure. It's great that you got to stay remote. Yeah, I think so too. And for a long time, I was worried about kind of limiting my career potential being remote, but I think that I have found ways to make up for that by doing things like my conference talks and my open source and streaming, like putting myself out there. I think I've done extraordinarily well, and I'm really grateful. You miss winters. We don't really get snowy winters anymore. Yeah, it's been kind of hit and miss here too. Is Kalamazoo your hometown? No, I'm from Jackson, Michigan originally, so here we go, ready? I'm from Jackson, which is roughly like right here, and then Kalamazoo is like over here a little bit. It's like about an hour west of where I grew up. But I went to school here, and I love this city, and it's a nice little area. It's a college town. It's got a progressive culture. It's got a great art scene, great breweries, great food. Yeah, I love it. It's inexpensive. It's pretty great. River Valley, Germany represented. Nice. Welcome. Thank you for being here. You can simulate commuting before I start working in the home office. Sometimes I go for a walk before starting the business day. Yeah, totally. I think that's pretty important too. Like, some people especially have to find time to like separate the you want to be able to separate, what do you call it? Your work life from your home life and whatever else. And like some people need that walk around the block. I personally really don't, but I've been trying to exercise in the mornings just to feel better in general, and that's been really good. Lack of sunshine and depression, EU winter in 2 words. Yeah, it's the same thing here, honestly. Like, the sun goes down at 5 p.m. and it's pretty depressing, so I can relate. You were reading Dave Anderson's tweets about doing something with IPv6. Is that related to this? Yes, actually. This is the project he's working on. He's writing a new IP parsing function, and we are looking at part of the more specific stuff. We got a lot of chat going on today. I'm good with this. Like, to be fair, I'm here and I've got nothing going on. It's like, when I finish streaming, I'm going to go play Stardew Valley or something, so it's like, I'm totally cool with chatting about whatever. Like, my goal was just to talk about this, and we're going to get through it, but I'm happy to talk tech. Make me a moderator. Nah, I don't trust you. Damn, man, I'm jealous about that. Bell's is right there. GR has great breweries. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bell's is amazing. They're my favorite brewery, and I've got the flag on the walls, my Rolling Rock mirror, my original love when it comes to beer. But yeah, Bell's is my all-time favorite brewery, and I love their stuff so much. Grand Rapids is also great. I find that Grand Rapids is kind of samey as Kalamazoo. Like, I feel like it's essentially the same things. There's more of them, but it's not of significantly better quality, and it's a lot busier and more expensive, and like, I don't really get it, Use walks before and after work to connect and disconnect. Otherwise, the work and home barrier gets too thin. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I had like a dog, I'm looking at moving into a house in a few months, and when I do that, I'll probably get a dog, and then that'll be a really good excuse to go for a walk, Please stream Stardew 1.5. I am playing on, I guess I am playing on PC. I could, but see, I don't know if I like game streaming though. Like, I've streamed a little bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon and Splunky, but the problem is that I have a hard time paying attention to the game as well as chat. I just haven't done it before. What do you mean you don't trust me? You are you're a good friend, but you're not exactly a trustworthy moderator. Taryn is quite objective. I trust Taryn to dole out judgment and punishment. My girlfriend and I discovered Stardew Valley a few days ago. The only reason I'm here and not playing that is I'm making dinner. Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. Honestly, like, I say this with like complete seriousness, but like the seasonal blues and stuff is a real thing, especially, coming here, like sun going down early, nasty weather, whatever else, pandemic on top of that. You definitely, Stardew Valley is a great way to escape all of that, and I would highly recommend it. Have you ever looked into formal model things like TLA plus or its friends? I have not. I am, as far as like formal methods and everything, like I'm a total noob. I'm very practical, hands-on kind of stuff. I have a hard time like applying like the the formal modeling and etc. to any of my work. I just have never really done it. You're offended. Good. Oh man. Bit of a chat backlog there. So I guess let's start going through this comment, I think, before we start digging into the implementation. But oh, okay, we got more stuff going on. Let's see here. Since we're free talk, how do you learn about Go internals and networking in general? Any tips for newcomer? Do I have a, let's see here. So Go, and I guess those aren't, yeah, okay, so I do have a couple things here. So I think these are some things that I have found useful or interesting. So for example, like with Go, the reason I know about the internals and stuff is just because I've been doing it for a long time and I'm curious. So I started digging into things like unsafe and system calls and the runtime network polar and all this random stuff because those were all things I had an interest in, or like I wanted to create like a new socket type, for example. And that really helped me to learn more of the internals, but I still don't consider myself an expert. I really like watching Matt Dembski's stream because Matt Dembski does Go compiler streams, which are very interesting, and I learn a lot that from him. Large Databank is another great streamer for sure. Would recommend. He does a lot of like cockroach DB stuff, but like there's a seriously impressive amount of like engineering, performance work, benchmarking, optimizations, improvements, some unsafe stuff. Like he does amazing work as well. So I would also recommend his stream highly. That's what I've been tinkering with this week, this polling folks and other stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, I have no idea. That is a loaded question. I feel the imposter syndrome all the time, despite having done networking for 10 years now. Yeah, I feel the same way, honestly. Like, I know, it's kind of funny because it's like, I know my stuff, and I know I understand, like, a lot of things, but it is rather difficult for me to, like, kind of... I find this is a problem everywhere in my life, is I kind of need to take a step back once in a while and appreciate that, like, you know, I know what I'm talking about, and people come to me because they appreciate and respect my opinions, and they want to hear from me, they want to learn from me, you know? And I tend to forget how far I have come. I'll sub if you make me a moderator. I'll take your $5. Let's see here. This is a real life friend. All right, there you go. Give me your $5. I mean, Twitch is gonna take half of it, but Mod Beggars, this is on Twitch chat. Yeah, he's a real life friend. That IPv6 book might be interesting to me. I seem to be lacking some knowledge on that. Yeah, I actually thought that was I thought that book was very interesting. Like, that's where I started out with like a lot of my v6 experiments. Like, then I started deploying v6 at home, and of course I've written things like, you know, my NDP package in CoreRad. And it turns out v6 is not as complicated as you think. Honestly, a lot of this stuff, like, they were able to take lessons learned in v4 and just fix things. You know, like have a chance to totally start over. So when people complain about like, oh, I should have just added another octet onto v4, like I don't think that would have been a good option. I think, honestly, fundamentally reinventing things, like, for better or worse, was the better choice. And things will only continue to get better. Thank you for the detailed answer to such a broad question. Yeah, you're welcome. Honestly, I do the best I can. I recommend hanging out in like places like the networking channel and Go for Slack is great. I learn tons from people, or just, you know, find streams, find resources, find YouTube videos, like find things that interest you, and just, you know, learn, discover, implement network protocols. It's interesting. It's something I don't quite understand, how the industry has broken into like two factions. You have the people who do the host networking stuff, and then the rest who are more traditional network engineers who are so circ focused. Yeah, totally. I think it's been kind of cool seeing like at DigitalOcean and Fastly, we, you know, both places I've worked, we've started to kind of like converge those things. Like the traditional network engineers also do things like automation. Jackass, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the Prime sub. I appreciate that. enjoy your emotes. Yeah, I think that having the two converge is good, because I've learned a ton from network engineers about how to operate like a large scale network and things like, you know, what's a close topology and all of this stuff. And it's like, but I can come at it from the host networking perspective because I understand like Linux and Netlink and route netlink and generic netlink and all these different things. So kind of converging those two disciplines is something I think is very valuable, you know. You're going to ask a similar question about networking, but you just graduated in August and you feel like you have a million things, you have to learn a million things still. Don't beat yourself up over it, because you will learn. It just takes time. That's really it. Like, the reason I am where I am is because curiosity. I was like, I want to learn how ATA over Ethernet works, or Ethernet frames, or ARP, or neighbor discovery protocol, or IPv6. And I start building those things and using my programs to talk to real systems, and kind of like just built up this base of knowledge over time. And it takes time, and it's not always easy to tell. It's not always easy to tell when you're making progress, but ultimately it is the best thing you can do is, tell yourself that like it's okay to take this a day at a time and keep working towards it and find things you're interested in, find what you're passionate about, and just start working on those things. Like that is the best advice I can give you. And like I said, I have to kind of step back once in a while and realize like I've been doing this full time for 8 years now, and networking specifically for like 5, and there's still tons I don't know, and that's okay. But being willing to learn and like admit if you make a mistake or a misstep, like that's valuable. You're also a role model for me when it comes down to Go and networking topics. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you. That's why I'm here. I do this because I want to share knowledge with others. Don't think too highly of certs, TBH. Yeah, certs are kind of a mixed bag these days. I'm the same way. It's almost like a target on someone's resume now. Yeah, certs are... I mean, I've never had any certs, for what it's worth. But like, I've also never done traditional network engineering. Gotta go now. Have a great stream and enjoy Stardew Valley. Yeah, absolutely. Will do. Take care. The champ is here. Great. So this is our fantasy football champ is here now, too. So we have two friends in stream. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Oh, my team was so good this year, too. Man. I'm a database geek and never took databases in college. Distributed systems was just getting started, yet that's my career. You always have a million things to learn, and watching a good stream doesn't hurt. Yeah, absolutely. Like, just immerse yourself with people who you can learn from. Like, when I go to GopherCon, I hang out with like the Go runtime and compiler people and just talk to them and just learn. And like, I hang out with like, Michael McLaughlin, who wrote this wonderful Avo tool for generating Go assembly, or Johan Brandhorst, who knows all this stuff about like Postgres and Protobuf. And it's like there's just so many wonderful people in this community, and it's like all you have to do is just kind of like listen and learn and engage, and it makes a big difference. Large data bank. I'd love to meet him in person. Like his stream is amazing. I'm really excited to meet him in person at some point in either New York or at GopherCon or something. That'll be great. Who's super fast, not a moderator, that's for sure. I'm the better friend. And they're all pretty nice people too. Yeah, Taryn's also an incredibly nice person. Taryn and I met because my Netlink stuff, I think, actually. You wish you could be programming and Go full time? Yeah, I mean, ultimately you decide what you want to do, right? So like you have the ability to choose the kind of things you want to learn and what you want to work on. And like for me, like I knew in 2014 I wanted to apply for jobs that did Go. I went to the very first GopherCon. I was writing projects. I started writing a BitTorrent tracker with a friend. It wasn't very good, but it got me in the door, and I worked with a couple of folks who really helped me level up. I met people. I started reading like Ben Johnson and Peter Borgen's blogs. I went to Rob Pike's talks and all this different stuff, and just kind of learned and just built myself up, and that was all very useful. BitTorrent deserves to make a resurgence. It's time. Yeah, I agree. Much respect for people who deal with distributed data problems. It's such a hard problem space. Yeah, totally. Like the fact that like, things like CockroachDB and Spanner work like blows my mind. It's just, it's absolutely incredible. Like, I lighter weight data, like whatever else, but it's like doing like distributed joins or like, surviving outages, like blows my mind, I'm not to be trusted with those responsibilities. Okay, no worries. Jackass had to bribe his way to moderatorship. That's true. He gave me a Prime sub. I'll mod you if you give me a Prime sub. Super fast. I apologize, real life friends. I'll joke with and whatever else, but yeah, let's see here. We've been going for 51 minutes, and I feel like we talked about like very little code, but that's good. I'm actually totally good with this because like it's cool to. It's kind of funny because like I was thinking some of the streamers I watch, what they'll do is like they'll sit down and drink coffee for like half an hour, 45 minutes before they start playing games. And it's like you could just have like a just chatting stream essentially, right? And just talk life, code, tech, whatever else. And like I could do that if I wanted to. It's like I could have like an AMA stream about like remote work or Go or networking or whatever else. And it's like we're basically doing that today, right? I'm good with that too. So no worries. So let's start looking at the comment here. Interning is simple if you don't require that unused values be garbage collectible, but we do require that. We don't want to be a DOS vector, denial of service, like never-ending heap allocations, whatever else, pretty bad. We do this by using a uint pointer to hide the pointer from the garbage collector and using a finalizer to eliminate the pointer when no other code is using it. So Go finalizers are pretty interesting. Let's see here. I do not have a Linux command. Maybe I should. I don't know if I have any super good Linux resources. A lot of what I've learned was just kind of practical problems. Like I want to get these files from here to here and like whatever else. But NixOS is sweet. I've done a couple of streams on like my NixOS stuff, but it's been a long time. Is this package written by an intern? No, it is not. Yeah, string interning. This is an interesting article. We looked at a little bit ago, so I'll share that too. So finalizers are a really weird thing in Go. Yeah, this is a whole thing, right? So I'll read the first little bit. NixOS, the rust of operating systems. Yeah, that's completely true. Set finalizer sets the finalizer associated with obj, which is empty interface, the provided finalizer function. When the garbage collector finds an unreachable block with an associated finalizer, it clears the association and runs finalizer object in a separate Go routine. This makes the object reachable again, but now without the associated finalizer. Assuming that set finalizer is not called again, the next time the garbage collector sees that obj is unreachable, it will free obj. So finalizers are something you should basically never use. I'm an old gopher and have never touched finalizers. Yeah, me either. I've actually never really used them. But this is a case where they're actually necessary, and I think that's why one of the reasons I really wanted to dig into this, you know. So going back to this, the obvious implementation of this is to use a map of empty interface to uint pointer of pointers to interface and set up a finalizer to delete from the map. Unfortunately, this is racy. Because pointers are being created in violation of Go's unsafe rules, it's possible to create a pointer to a value concurrently with the garbage collector concluding the value can be collected. So there are other races that break the equality invariant as well, but the use after free will cause a runtime crash. And I think they actually ran into this, which is pretty wild. You've used Go for several years and have never touched that finalizer. Yeah, the standard library does finalizers in some spots for things like OS files, but you should not touch them unless you really know what you're doing. And, you know, I'm a 7-year gopher now, and I don't trust myself with finalizers either. To make this work, the finalizer needs to know that no references have been unsafely created since the finalizer was set up. To do this, values carry a resurrected sentinel, which gets set whenever a pointer is unsafely created. If the finalizer encounters the sentinel, it clears the sentinel and delays collection for one additional GC cycle by reinstalling itself as finalizer. This ensures that the unsafely created pointer is visible to the garbage collector and will correctly prevent collection. Given finalizer use cases. This technique does mean that intern values that get reused take at least 3 GC cycles to fully collect. So one garbage collector clears the sentinel, one will clean up the unsafe map, and then one will actually delete it. But garbage collections happen generally fairly often, I think, depending on the allocation rate of your program. So Ian commented that it is possible to implement weak references in terms of finalizers without unsafe. The approach he outlined does not work here for 2 reasons. First, there is no way to construct a strong pointer out of a weak pointer. Our map stores weak pointers, but we must return strong pointers to callers. No way to construct a strong pointer out of a weak pointer. I would think you could do that, because if the weak pointer is the uint pointer, I would think you could do an unsafe cast and back to the value type. But maybe strong pointer here means not just the empty interface, but the actual concrete type. So maybe that's because Go doesn't have generic types? Maybe? Because in theory, you would create like an intern pool of strings or an intern pool of byte slices. I'm speculating here. I haven't actually read the thread. Second, and more fundamentally, we must return not just a strong pointer to callers, but the same strong pointer to callers. In order to return the same strong pointer to callers, we must track it, which is exactly what we cannot do with strong pointers. So there's a couple of issues here with more discussion, and another issue with the illustration of the subtleties at play. So this is getting really, really into the weeds. I just want to read the implementation and just kind of discuss this a little bit. Because see, it's not very big. That said, you just did del and Python work for the first time. So use case, release or free a remote data reference optimistically on GC. Interesting. I guess potentially if it were an expensive enough resource or something that like it might be necessary, right? But I've never really had to deal with it. Like I remember writing a little bit of C# and doing like some occasional like destructors and stuff, but very, very little. I kind of prefer the Go way of like everything being more explicit, right? Like every type has like an explicit close method and stuff like that, and then the garbage collector is able to just do whatever it wants afterward. So when you call get here, we're gonna skip the safe branches for now and just look. Well, actually, let's do the safe branches first because those will probably be easier to comprehend. So we have a safe map here, and if the safe map is not nil due to this environment variable being set, we have a map of empty interface to pointers to values. So this is a strong pointer to a value, right? So when we call get with a comparable value, it locks the global mutex, which is guarding these pools, these maps here. So in the safe case, we look up the value from the safe map. So we pass in a key, which is empty interface, and we return a value, which is empty interface as well. If the value is not nil, we return it. So this means that like if the value is already created, it's going to be sent back to the caller, and we're done. If the value did not already exist in the map here, so basically, comma OK equals false, but in this case, they're just checking for nil, we construct a new value and store it in the pool, and then return the value as well. So this is the safe method. So with the safe code, you're always just going to be adding values to the map, and they're going to remain there forever, which is why this is go for intern safe but leaky. So there is no unsafe going on here, no finalizers, no need for pointer tricks or weak references. Like, this is just a map which is going to continue to grow forever. So, okay, that makes logical sense to me. And I guess, for example, like, if you had a system where, my router, for example, right? Let's log into it. Okay, so I have 12 different network interfaces here, and some of these are virtual and whatever else, but it's like, in theory, you could have IP addresses with each of these different zones, a maximum of 12. That's not that big of a deal, right? So if I were using this in my own code and I really cared, presumably as long as you're not creating and deleting network interfaces all the time, the counterpoint would be like, for example, if you are a cloud hosting company and you have a hypervisor that's bringing up and down tap interfaces and stuff all the time, you could eventually continue to allocate resources for strings in different interface zones and such. But in this particular case, this is pretty static. And really, the worst that could happen is like I might add a VLAN interface or remove one, and then the program is still running and it still has that in the map. So for most use cases, it would seem like the safe implementation is totally fine, right? Can you daisy chain IP tables chains, like have a custom chain, then go to yet another custom chain? I'm actually not sure. So my firewall is NF tables. So when I did my NixOS router, I decided to go all in on NF tables, and I really prefer that. Taryn also mentions, or a Kubernetes CNI that's rotating containers often. Yeah, exactly. Like if you're bringing up and down veth pairs and stuff, you would run into the same problem. And eventually, you could potentially, let's see here, maximum uint64 values. There would be, you'd have a lot of different options, but like, yeah, you will just continuously allocate memory. Man, that sucks. Makes parsing much harder. +1 to NF tables. Yeah, I think for a little bit I was working on like an NF tables lexer in Go. I wanted to write like a formatter and stuff. That could be cool. Kubernetes is still using IP tables though, isn't it? I believe so. Can you swap that out? Doesn't IP tables use NF tables under the hood nowadays? I'm actually not sure. So my understanding is that BP filter was going to be the back end. IP tables and NF tables were going to be the front end interfaces, and BP filter was going to be the back end. But it sounds like BP filter has languished. So I don't understand exactly what's going on there. What kind of hardware do you use? I have a perfect link for you. ipu4d4. I use this. IP tables can use NF tables under the hood. Interesting. The default implementation, you can swap out kube proxy. You'll still need to deal with proper IP tables parser because of Kubernetes. IP tables are horrible, though. You can swap it out. There's NF proxy or Cilium using eBPF. Yeah. So my understanding, like I said, that BP filter was going to be kind of the future of these sort of things, and IP tables, the interface would remain, but the backend is all BP filter. But I don't follow kernel enough. Oh, PC Engine's APU, you also use it? Nice. Yeah, this is the APU too. This is my router. It's got 4 gigabit Ethernet ports, serial. I have an mSATA SSD and a mini PCIe LTE modem and a SIM card for Project Fi, and it works great. The only thing I don't like about this is the CPU is a little wimpy for like NixOS rebuilds, but I can use my router, or I can use my server over here as a remote builder machine. And also, there's no possibility for me to do 10 gig with this ever, but I don't have 10 gig WAN. It doesn't matter. But I think eventually I will end up building a mini ITX, like Zen, AMD Zen system for my router. The CPU is on the weak side, all Jaguar cores. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you've got a 10 gig router. Let me look up the model. Yes, please. If it's something that can run like NixOS, I would be interested at some point. I know some of these words. Yeah, you're welcome. And yeah, Jackass, you're in a pretty deep technical kind of moment today. This is the sort of stuff we talk about here. Mostly it's more coding, but today's just been a lot of discussion. But it's been cool, You're crossing your fingers that PC Engines will release something based on the embedded Zen platform. Yeah, me too. I'm hoping for like a Zen 2 or like a Zen 3 APU. That'd be so nice. Oh, so it's just a rack mount server but was reasonably priced. Nice. You have no idea what's going on. Yeah, I mean, you start somewhere, right? Like, honestly, I think for most people, I used to use, what was it? The Ubiquity router light. If you want to get started with like prosumer networking gear, the Edge Router Lite is awesome. I actually use this as my router for years, and it can do like full gigabit just fine. This is a pretty cool thing. I switched to the APU because I wanted to run NixOS. If you buy your house, having a rack in the basement is dope. Yes, that is the plan. 10 gig plus networking gear in the basement, as well as a rack, as well as like fiber and all that stuff. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Edge routers are cool. MikroTik as well. Yes, I do use a MikroTik 10 gig switch, the little tiny one they do. It's 4 ports. It's pretty nice. PC Engines doesn't write anything publicly, unfortunately. Yeah, that is a bummer. Are you excited for ARM in the desktop? I am excited for non-x86 in the desktop, whether that's ARM or RISC-V or whatever else. I think that getting rid of the x86 monoculture can only benefit everyone, you know. Like, I think that the work Apple has done with the M1 stuff is super cool. I personally don't have any interest in Apple machines myself, but that being said, if it makes it so that ARM on desktops is a more first-class citizen, then I'm all for it, you know. You be careful with the ERX, though. The flash is volatile. Yeah, I think it certainly can be. I think I've had friends who've had to replace the internal USB storage. Mine's been fine. I should actually set this up again as like my lab router and just like run a totally separate network, but I have not at the moment. But the Ubiquity stuff is great. But yeah, I switched to the APU because I wanted to run NixOS, and it works flawlessly for what I need. So we went through the safe implementation here, and actually it was quite straightforward. Like, just, you know, if there is a value in the map already with this key, you return it, and if there's not, you make one and store it in the map, and that's it. Server store, super micro. Wow, $99 used. That's wild. Huh. 1U firewall server. Xeon. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess, you know, you could do something pretty minimal here. For example, like a Xeon E3, 8 gigs of RAM. And as long as there is expansion slots, right? This thing would be so overkill for a router, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, you got a PCIe. That looks like a X4. Or is that a 16? That doesn't look long enough to be a 16. But yeah, you could install like a NIC and everything. That'd be cool. Oh, you had the opportunity to watch over 500 active ERX devices. Loads of them reported dying flash memory. Yeah. X platform is bad. Oh, built-in 10 gigabit. That's built-in 10 gigabits. That's nice. I could also use IPMI. That would be something that would be useful for me. But actually, I have mostly fixed that problem by having my console server program. So if I log into... I've got Raspberry Pis running a Go Crazy program I wrote that allows me to log into the console for my devices. So as a result now... Yeah, see, I can get into the serial console using SSH with the Go program I wrote. This is pretty cool. So the active cooling imagine the device. Yeah, I can only imagine. So I'll drop a link to that. That's conserve in the chat. Hence the basement rack. Yeah, totally. I think there will be a basement rack for sure. That's something that's going to be 100% on the list. Oh, I should log out of the console. Yeah, having serial access to your machines is super nice. Would recommend. Anyway. Yeah, so we've gone through the safe code and it's straightforward, but I think the unsafe stuff, of course, is where things get really interesting, right? So this is where we get into things like the resurrected value, or the weak references, which are uint pointers that we have. You know, the Go compiler has now lost track of the fact, or the Go garbage collector has now lost track of the fact that this was once a strongly typed pointer to a value, and it's now just uint pointer, which is a number, right? It's just a memory address. And again, the only reason this is currently, not safe but permitted is because of the Go garbage collector at the moment does not move items on the heap. So once something is in the heap, the address stays the same until it's freed. So same process as before. We lock the mutex, and in the unsafe map, if the value already exists in the unsafe map, we cast from uint pointer to unsafe pointer. Possible misuse of unsafe pointer. Yeah, this is a possible misuse. And we cast this to the value and mark it as resurrected. Okay. So I would appreciate a comment here just explaining. I can probably add one, right? I'd appreciate a comment explaining or pointing to the other comment before. So now if the value came back and it was resurrected, it's been marked as resurrected, and we return the value. Okay. So if it already existed, we cast it back from unsafe pointer to the pointer to a value, and we're done. If otherwise, so this is where we handled the leaks, for example. We take our value, we cast it to an unsafe pointer, and cast that to a uint pointer, so it has now lost its pointerness shape. Normally, the circumstance where you would do this is something like a syscall, right? So like Unix syscall, Unix read, and then you pass like your argument as a uint pointer to the kernel. But you have to make sure you do the cast inline, or else you're breaking the unsafe rules. So here we are intentionally breaking the unsafe rules, which is pretty interesting. And this is where the finalizer comes in. We'll take a look at finalize in a sec here, but this is where the magic happens, right? Then we return the value. So we allocated a new value and set a finalizer for it. So finalize. The mutex is also acquired. At first I was wondering if finalize would be called here, and then that would be a double lock, so you get a deadlock, but that's not true because finalize will be called by the runtime when the finalizer is set. So the resurrected value here, we acquired the lock, so we are now exclusively in this block, and it's not possible for get here to acquire the lock at the same time. So we note that the value has been resurrected, so the finalizer was called, but somebody perhaps just received this value back and resurrected it. So we lost the race, and somebody resurrected it while we were about to finalize it, so try again next time. So we mark this as not resurrected, and then if the value isn't pulled from the map again, then if the value is not pulled from the map again, then it will reinstall the finalizer by calling itself again. Okay. If it was not resurrected, we delete it completely and we prevent the memory leak. Okay. So that conceptually seems simple enough. I guess the scenario I'm thinking about here is, so let's say, for example, we call get, and we get a value out, and now the value is resurrected. So we return the value to the caller. So now the pointer to the value exists in the caller, now has acquired it, but it's still in the map as well. If the caller holds on to that value for a long period of time, and then the finalizer is invoked and clears it from the map, it's just clearing that pointer from the map, but the pointer still exists. It's still reachable because the caller has received the strongly typed value back, right? So this is probably what they were talking about below with like the fatal crash. Like this is why the resurrected value is necessary, because without this, you run into a situation where you return this and the finalizer is called, and because there is no check, we just delete it immediately. Let's look at this comment again. Okay, so the obvious implementation is to map of interface to uint pointer of the interface. Set up a finalizer to delete from the map. Unfortunately, this is racy. As we just discussed, it's possible that the caller could call get and the finalizer could run concurrently even, right? Because pointers are being created in violation of Go's unsafe rules, it's possible to create a pointer to a value concurrently with the GC concluding that the value can be collected. Other races that will break the equality invariant as well, but the use after free will cause a runtime crash. So yes, we use after free, right? The runtime will give a fatal error. To make this work, the finalizer needs to know that no references have been unsafely created since the finalizer was set up. So this is where the resurrected value comes into play. To do this, values carry the resurrected sentinel, which gets set whenever a pointer is unsafely created. If the finalizer encounters the sentinel, meaning the sentinel is set, it will clear it and delay the collection for one more cycle by reinstalling itself. So finalize is a function here that accepts a value, which is a v, which is a pointer to a value. And this gets shoved into the empty interface here, and I assume there's probably some runtime panic that will blow up if you pass the wrong type. If the finalizer encounters a sentinel, it clears it. Right. This ensures that the unsafely created pointer is visible to the garbage collector and will correctly prevent collection. Interesting. So this technique does mean that intern values that get reused take at least 3 garbage collector cycles to fully collect. 1 to clear the sentinel. So yeah, so if you got the value out, you clear the sentinel. 1 to clean the map, and then 1 more to actually be deleted. So yeah, so the first time you get in here, you clear the sentinel and reinstall the finalizer. The second time you get in here, remove it from the map, but the value itself is still in the heap. It's just not referenced anywhere anymore. And then the third garbage collection cycle, you would actually see the value removed from the heap, thus preventing the memory leak. Pretty fascinating, you know? And really, this is quite simple. I mean, there's certainly some complexity and some sharp corners here, but I think this is actually pretty elegant, you know, considering the amount of code required to make this work and the efficiency gains, you know? It's pretty cool. So if you run vet on this, yeah, so vet will complain that you're possibly misusing unsafe pointer because you are breaking the rules. You had an adder which was stored in a map for some undefined period of time, and thus, if Go had a moving garbage collector, this address could now point to nothing, and then it's effectively a use after free. So it's pretty neat stuff, huh? Let's see here. Spotify. I'll listen to today. How about that? Dems party. Yeah, nice. Yeah, this is really, really neat. I think that I'll probably do a blog post this week about this as well. Like, I know, I mean, I didn't work on this. I can't take credit for it, but I have been following the inet.af work rather closely, and I think it's pretty fascinating, you know? Blank import should be, have a comment justifying, yeah, GoLint. What is a good example of when you want to use this optimization? Yeah, so that actually, the whole reason we're looking at this is because of netaddr. So this is now used in netaddr. Let's see here, grep turn netaddr.go intern internet. Yeah, so the idea here is that the IP, so the IP type now, I think we discussed this like maybe at the very beginning of the stream, but the IP type in netaddr is now a high and low uint64. So for example, like if you have like an IPv6 address, you can store it in all these bytes. For the v4 address, I think it's just stored in like the low 4 bytes of low. And as a result of writing it this way, like instead of 16 bytes, these get turned into arithmetic and bit ops, which are 64-bit registers, which is a lot faster. So this was a speed thing. And then the zone here, the intent was to make it so that by using the interned value here, you now have a pointer in the structure. So the IP struct now only takes 24 bytes instead of 32, because it would have taken 16 more bytes for the string header and the string pointer, as well as the heap allocated string. And if you keep creating these IP address structures with like eth0, for example, eth0, like, you know, on your system, like if you're creating a bunch of things, then you got all these heap allocated strings that just say eth0, and they're all exactly the same. So this intern value, the intent is to indicate, you know, that a zone type can be reused. So there is, you know, sensible values here, like, you know, a nil zone, v4 zone, or v6 without a zone. These are all just unique values here. But these don't, you know, basically, like, this makes it so that it's very inexpensive to, like, carry this IP address zone around. But if you need it, you can call IP with zone and associate the zone with it by using this intern get. And if the eth0 zone, for example, has already been created, it will be part of that globally interned map and have the finalizer and everything set up. And then you can store it here directly in the zone and then use this from now on with the same string stored in one place in the heap. So pretty clever. And I guess the reason this all came about, there's been a lot of really interesting work in netaddr. Will be interesting to see benchmark comparisons. Yeah, I was trying to look those up right now. Kubernetes does this a ton. Gotcha. Well, now there's a very clever package to do it, so I think it'd probably be good to use the package if possible. See its docs. Oh, there we go. So let's see. I've reviewed a few pull requests here recently. We could review Dave's pull request too. That'd be good for the IP parsing. Couple of work in progress things here. Is this where it was introduced? Change the representation. Or no, Dave had the, let's see, preserve zone, paired uint64s. So at first, there was the zone pointer thing here. So the goal was to make it so it's 20 bytes on 32-bit or 24 bytes on 64. I guess that's still technically true, even with the new representation. And is this where the intern package is? Yes, this is where it's first pulled in. I believe there are benchmarks in here somewhere too. Maybe not. I know Dave has been posting benchmarks, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, and there's a comment in here now. So like the zone 24 bytes, zone is a per name singleton shared across all users. Yeah, so if you have 12 network interfaces in your machine, you're gonna have a maximum of 12 different strings created here for your zones, so you're good to go. You know, and even with systems like Kubernetes or like a hypervisor with lots of VMs or containers or whatever else, like eventually over time the zones you no longer need will be collected and freed. So. Yep, intern values. This is where things were first introduced. But then Dave also just went through and changed it from an array of 16 bytes for the IP address to the, what do you call it? The two uint64s. And there were actually also lots of tricks played here to cooperate with the inliner because, for example, some functions are too complex to inline. So they had to do things like move some like the hex parsing into the body of the function. Here we go. So it's worth noting these benchmarks are changing from, I don't see benchmarks for the intern representation, but these benchmarks are changing from an array of 16 bytes to two uint64s. And again, this seems to work because these turn the operations and IPs into arithmetic and bit twiddling ops on 64-bit registers instead of doing byte-wise processing. So when you can operate on two registers instead of going byte by byte, you're able to save a lot of time. So the benchmarks here, let's see, Parse Ip4. Yeah, things like prefix masking got way faster, going down from 36.3 nanoseconds to 4.8. That doesn't even seem possible, right? But I guess maybe it is. 136 nanoseconds to 5, like with IPv6 with zone. Yeah, this is the interning and everything in effect too. I'm not going to bother running these benchmarks locally because I'm running OBS and all kinds of other different stuff, so it wouldn't be very useful. But it's pretty fascinating just to look at the numbers. The allocations completely go away, which is great. Seems like the trade-off there is in the parsing, which makes sense. Yeah, the parsing is what Dave is trying to speed up now. We're going to review that code in a sec here, I think, too. Masking a register is pretty much an instruction or two. Yeah, I guess that would make sense, versus trying to mask all kinds of different, versus trying to mask individual byte-wise instructions. See, I'm really rusty when it comes to like assembly stuff. Like I did like a course in school that had like Spark assembly, and like I know like a little bit of like RISC-V stuff at this point, but as far as like, this super extreme performance stuff, I'm the wrong person to ask. Basically, my answer here with these things is to go talk to Damian Grisky. Let's see here. Getting some Spark assembly. Yeah, that's what my school taught me. It was the thing, Man, Twitter's going wild. Pretty cool. Yeah, this was really nice because like even changing things from the 16 byte, yeah, so plus 140 minus 140. So things got like effectively like simpler, there was more comments, but like there was less code, which is great. So you're able to get rid of a lot of these like helpers and stuff and just do things directly on the individual high and low registers, I guess, which is very cool. Something I also found interesting is I guess that like these continue with like if statements and stuff. This is more like inliner friendly. Actually, I don't know if they're using Jordan's or large databank's GC assert, but they should be. That'd be a good thing too. Because the GC assert helper will tell you make sure that something is inlined or whatever else, which is really nice. That's a cool project too. So let's see here. GC assert Jordan A. Lewis, right? Jordan Lewis on GitHub. Okay. This is something I need to use in my own projects as well. Of course. Yeah, GC assert. So this can check if your code is inlined and bounds check eliminated, which is super useful. And of course, I don't run into these sorts of problems a lot, but you say something like GC assert inline, and it will make sure that this is inlined or the bounds check is eliminated here or whatever else. And then you run the tool, and it will tell you whether or not that something was inlined. So this is something very, very cool. I appreciate the hell out of that. Yeah, so Dave's been working on the IP address parsing. So there's the v4 parsing yesterday. I think I reviewed this too. No, I did not. wonder if there's anything worth doing. Yeah, see, here's an example of like, trying to fight with the inliner is like a real thing, right? So as of Go 115, don't try to factor this digit reading into a helper function. Its complexity is slightly too high for inlining, which ends up costing plus 50% in parse time by having to jump into this function body over and over again. Isn't that wild? Like, computers blow my mind. I mean, honestly, the thing is like, you shouldn't have to care about this stuff until you are at this point. Like, this library has been in use for months. And it started at the point where like, do things in the most simple possible and readable way. And then you get to the point where it's like, we need to make this really screaming fast. And the way you do that is by writing code like this and then adding justification for why it needs to stay that way, So adding GC assert here would be pretty useful. I think I'm going to open an issue before I forget about it. Make use of GC assert utility to assert that code is inlined and or BCE'd. This tool is quite useful and can be used to annotate code to ensure the compiler is doing what we'd like. I think this is probably worth adding to CI as well. CC Jordan Lewis. There we go. I suppose we could potentially do that on stream. Yes, this package, like, I mean, we basically talked it over and we understand it. It's pretty cool. Also, a project like this is likely going to run new benchmarks every Go release. Yeah. Is inet.af related to any org? Yeah, so basically inet.af, I think that... Oh, you're here from Jordan's tweet. Nice, welcome. Pure open source project. Yeah, so inet.af, I don't remember exactly how it started. I think that Brad realized that the domain was available because like af_inet is the old school Unix constant for IPv4 addresses. So inet.af is just kind of a great domain name. And I think I got the GitHub org immediately, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. And it's like we could put like random networking packages here. And then the organization actually started with the netaddr package. So it's, I guess, kind of like Tailscale in Friends, really is what it is. Like, I mean, in Friends being me, just because I do this kind of stuff too. But there's also the Brad's old TCP proxy project, and I created this NAT package for things like NAT traversal. This is something I was working on August. Yeah, so I was able to implement enough of NAT PMP to create a port mapping with mini UPnPD. So it's pretty cool. That's something I would like to keep working on as well, but it's like I don't really have a major need for this myself, so I'm not quite as motivated. But that being said, there's this, and there's also the NAT PMP, I believe, is the Apple version of this, and the newer IETF version is the Port Control Protocol, or PCP. So they are very similar, and I think they use like a different version number to differentiate the two. But if we could take, NAT PMP and PCP and combine them into like one nice type, then you could create like a NAT punching thing and say, I want to open this port on my router and do it, and it'll be done, assuming your router supports it. So this is something the Tailscale folks were looking into, but I suspect they have bigger problems right now, So I was curious, and I got nerd sniped a little bit into writing this so far, but it does seem to work. You are currently lacking a lab for your own project, so you're a bit stuck, but it should be resolved in a few weeks. Yeah, I've got my server here, and I've got like a lab VLAN and whatever else, so I do some experiments there. But as far as like gateway or NAT punching stuff, like I should set up my old edge router, like I said, and like run some of this stuff and just see what I can do, because I just haven't done that yet, Yeah, so inet.af, or I think what's funny is that Brad also, I think, coined this as like internet as friends, like doing internet things as friends, which is pretty funny. But yeah, at the moment it's just a couple of packages here, like netaddr is really the one people use. Yes, this is interesting. Let's take a look at this, So there's the v4 code, and now we're trying to parse IPv6 without net parse IP, make it faster. Okay. Still a draft because I need to fix up the error handling and comments, but opening the PR early for a question. After a bunch of false starts implementing a fancy parse IPv6, took the Go implementation from the GoNet package and adapted it. Changed a fair bit, but the basic structure remains the same. How should we handle the licensing for that? Put it in a separate file and acknowledge the Go license? I'm actually not sure. I guess I would think so, but... Yes, I guess this is taken from the Go standard library type stuff. You know what's something interesting is when we're talking about all these address zones and stuff is, as far as I know, the zone identifiers only really apply to like v6 link local addresses because a link local address is only unique per link. So you need the zone identifier. So for example, if I do, oops, I think I have this set up. So if I do ping6 fe80::1, invalid argument because there is no zone identifier. But then if I do emp4so, actually I could have sworn my router had that address, but apparently not. Let's see here, IPAS 10 gigabit. Okay, it's this one. So if I try and ping this address plane without an interface index, you get an invalid argument. And again, this is one of the things that's kind of unique to v6. Like you need to, for link local addresses, you have to specify the interface index or else you're going to get this. And this is actually something that confuses people a lot. But if I do %emp4so, there we go. So now this is successfully pinging. So this is where the zone identifier comes in. So as far as I know, this is not used with v4, even though v4 has link local addresses as well. But in v6, the link local stuff is a vital part of the protocol. I'm just curious. Yeah, see, so this is exactly the problem here, right? Unique dash count, right? There are 6 different interfaces on my router that have the address, that link local address. So you have to specify the interface index because they're all different VLAN interfaces. So this is one of the places where v6 gets a little tricky. EMP4S0 is the zone. Yes, exactly. The %EMP4S0 is the zone. So for example, if I want to, so watch this, right? If I curl HTTP, got to do the brackets. Don't I have to do like -G for turn off curls globbing? Yeah, see? So if I want to curl a link local address, then I actually have to specify the zone identifier as well. Because if I don't, it just doesn't work. So that's something that takes some getting used to. But yeah, it's one of the ways in which v6 is different. The netaddr package uses the zone field to store if it's representing a v4 address. Yes, that's right. Yeah, because there's the v4 sentinel, the v6 with no zone sentinel, as well as the different values that are the v6 addresses or the v6 zones themselves. So at the moment, there is just a sentinel value that says that there is no zone field. But I just wasn't sure, for example, if like this syntax ever became a thing. But I guess my understanding is probably not. Yeah, so the whole thing about like the intern package like, in existing was all about the v6 zones, And of course we have to use those pretty heavily in things like CoreRAD because it's all based on link local v6 addresses. Similar to Parse Ipv6, inlining the hex number parsing yields a significant performance increase. Pretty wild, huh? If followed by a dot, might be trailing IPv4. Yeah, there's a couple of... so I guess the Dave's whole... So blog, universe, TF, right? Dave, universe, TF. Is that right? Shoot. Dave Anderson, IPv6. He just wrote a blog about this. I'm sure somebody mentioned it earlier. Here it is. Dave.tf. Okay, right. Yeah, so this blog, yeah, the Twitter thread with the cursed octals, that's exactly it. Yeah, there are so many different representations. Like you could have, this monstrosity like hex IPv4. It's like, what the heck? Or this class A notation. Like this is disgusting, And apparently like some old BSD that had like the original BSD sockets and stuff just had a lot of this stuff. So kind of the intent right now is just to support whatever the Ghost Layer library does, which is good, but pretty silly. So this is why writing an IP address parser is actually much more difficult than I anticipated as well. Like I thought that it would be a pain in the ass to do stuff like the colon, but you can still ping decimal IRC. Yeah, I think that you can use all kinds of weird syntax for any of this stuff, but there's just all these representations are so strange, you know. Basically, any combination of a number representation seems to make an IP address. Yes, that is quite true, and that's why, yeah. Once again, you know, Dave wrote a rant about. But you can have like a combination of like V4 at the end, like you have like V6 with like the colons, and then V4 address at the end with like decimal and dots. It's like, what the heck, you know? It's so silly. The Nix OS developers would probably use base64 encoding. Yeah, they probably would, wouldn't they? Yeah, so I guess if this is based on the Go standard library code, then it's probably reasonable, but I probably shouldn't review this for the time being just because, as Dave mentioned, like there's the licensing issue. And the benchmarking, so you do an intern here, you make sure that you have the intern value ready to go, so that way you're not benchmarking the intern package, which is going to allocate a string in the map and keep returning it. So that's already allocated, the pool is already warmed up, so to speak, and then you can do your benchmarks. So this is something that's important just sometimes too. You might want to like reset the number of allocations as well. Actually, I guess I could leave that comment, right? Any chance you'd want to reset the allocations count once the intern pool is set up? Yeah, I'm not going to review this too in depth right now. We could look at adding GC assert to this repository, since there's so many things that they want to keep inlined. Okay. Let's see here. So what is it? Go build dash GC flags equals like dash M. Does that tell you? Yeah, so it tells you inline stuff. So it looks like there is a lot of these calls can be inlined, which is nice. Do I have GC assert installed? I did not. I should get it. Yeah, I should get this and make use of it. Oh. I always do that. I always either do that or type the scheme on the URL by accident, just not thinking about it, you know? And this is going to modify my Go mod. That's like the one thing gets on my nerves is like modifying the Go mod. GC assert. And I believe right now there are just no directives, right? So I want to add BCE, bound check elimination, or inline. So making assertions about the compiler decisions to Go programs via inline directives. Yeah, so basically you want to make sure that like a lot of these calls can be inlined. So can inline call, inline and call, inline and call. So all the methods, looks like a lot of these like simple comparisons can be inline pretty trivially. So perhaps it's not necessary to add them there. I don't know. I wonder if like compare's got a lot of branches here. I'm curious what the cost is in this. Oh, shoot. It's probably going to standard error, isn't it? Maybe compare's not being called by another function. So things that are being called elsewhere, like v4. A lot of these are simple enough where they probably will just stay inlined. How about like Parse Ip or Parse Ipv6? parse. Huh. Why is there no output about like parse IPv4? So this is one of those flags I don't use very often. Jordan, if you're around, do I need to do like -m? Is that something here? Ah, here we go. Okay. Cannot inline parse IPv4 unhandled op4. Yeah, because it's got a for loop, so you can't inline it. Ah, that's a pain. I believe that is fixed on tip though, right? So go tip. Oh shoot. Or DL tip. So if I download tip right now, I'm pretty sure tip can inline for loops. Right? I feel like I remember Matt Dembski talking about that in his stream. This has been a good stream. I feel like we've learned a lot. We've talked about a lot. Chat's been a little more quiet recently. I don't know if you're all ignoring me or what, but it's been cool. This has been a lot of fun actually. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I'm challenging some of my own assumptions and learning new things about like unsafe, which is always great, you know. So yeah, we'll just bootstrap tip really quick. Unfortunately, I've only got a Ryzen 9 3900X, not a 5900X or a 5950. Where's Dominic? Dominic's got his 3950. It would have done this way faster, right? There we go. Yeah, okay, so this is pretty cool, right? Only that's exactly it. I can assure you that the wording was intentional. Yeah, so in Go 115, unhandled op4, so the inliner does not handle for loops. In Go tip, so right now Go 116 or the beta that's gonna be coming out. Actually, I guess I probably should be using Go 116 beta 1, shouldn't I? Golang.org, DL, Go 116 beta 1. You picked up a 3900X for your gaming rig. I've never seen the Linux kernel compile so fast. Yeah, it's great. I love the CPU. You built a 3900X server with IPMI consumer processor, server, motherboard. Nice. Yeah, my understanding is that like all those Zens can do like server motherboards and ECC RAM, which is nice. My server here is a 27 or Ryzen 7 2700 for things like Plex. But definitely I would consider moving my 3900X over there if I build a new machine eventually, but I don't build desktops for usually 4 or 5 years at a time. Yeah, I really want to it's kind of funny because like I know I always overbuild for what I need. Like this machine has 64 gigs of RAM and like I've never even come close. Like I'm running OBS and all this other crap and I'm using 9.8 gigs of RAM. Like it just doesn't even matter, you know? All right, so Go 116 beta. Yep. So the inliner as of Go 116 beta 1 cannot inline parse IPv4 because the function is too complex. It's because the cost of 154 exceeds the cost budget of 80. The limit is 80. Okay. 3900X here in your gaming rig. Yeah, it's great. I love it. So let's see if I annotate this with GC assert inline, then GC assert's going to complain, right? Yep, exactly. That's cool. That's very cool. I'm going to go ahead and give Jordan a shout out really quick on Twitter because this is an awesome tool and it deserves more attention. Oh, shoot. I'm not logged in on this guest browser. Let's see. Shout out to Jordan for the super incredibly handy GC assert tool, which can check if Go functions are inlined or have bounds checks eliminated. And he's got a pretty great stream at twitch.tv. 2 underscores, right? Hashtag Golang. Hashtag Golang. It pains me to say it. Yep, sweet. Yeah, so this can't be inlines now because of the for loop, or because of the complexity, no longer just the for loop. Because what I've actually seen, was it? I can't remember if it was Cockroach or Databanks, Databanks, Databanks. Yeah, exactly. He's got some pretty good alerts. It's like nails on a blackboard. Yeah, Jordan's got some pretty. Was it Cockroach or something? Somebody was showing me some code recently that was using gotos instead of for loops because of the inliner, and it'll be nice that they can just rewrite that in terms of for loops now. But yeah, let's take a look here. Grep not. You know you've written some code that's O of n squared when it really could be O log n or better. However, I'm too lazy to fix it. What package should I import to make me less lazy? That's a good question. I'm admittedly guilty of the same thing. I never picked the right algorithm the first time around. My whole thing is like I'm not really I consider myself very much an engineer and a practical person. I always solve problems in the simplest possible way, doing the most straightforward and elegant thing, and then I worry about making it really fast. And more often than not, I have to talk to somebody like, like I said, like Damian Grisky, one of my performance gurus, or the performance channel on Gopher Slack is excellent. The networking channel is excellent. If you're not in either of those places, I would definitely recommend joining both. Import testing and write some benchmarks. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't get a chance to benchmark my code very often. A lot of the stuff I'm doing is not really performance sensitive these days, especially like, neighbor discovery and stuff. It doesn't really matter. Needs to be correct, then perform it. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. I have had discussions with people before who wanted to eliminate pointer dereferences while talking to MySQL, and my answer was like, it doesn't matter. You're talking to MySQL. Like, it literally does not matter if you're dereferencing a pointer, Solve problems first, improve never. You wrote benchmarks, but this proved to me that you're crazy lazy. Add a comment that says you expect to only be used for small amount of elements problem solved. Yeah, my whole thing is always put like a to-do, like this could be a lot faster. That's like my whole thing. Yeah, let's see what's not inlined here. I'm just curious. Not escape. Oh, cannot inline. Fadur NP, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Rep cannot inline. Yeah, okay, here we go. Unhandle op closure. Yeah, so closures, you can't be inlined. I'm just gonna make this smaller really quick. You write a proof of concept that should be not be used in production. The proof of concept works, so it gets used in production. Yeah, that's like my entire life, pretty much. I've made it a point now to like intentionally. I don't want to say like cripple certain things, but I have written code that was not production ready on purpose because I wanted to give myself more time to make it work. So looking at these, the stuff that's not being inlined, a lot of times it's because of the cost budget. The Go inliner basically like it determines the complexity of a function using like a heuristic, like the things like the number of branches, or if you get something like a for loop previously or now a closure, it won't inline it. Also, it looks like here recursive calls, it cannot inline that. Unhandled op range, really? Wouldn't range just be a loop? So IP set add. Oh, add set. Interesting. So 4 range loops can't be inlined, maybe? Huh. Not that it matters for some of these functions. It's more so I'm just curious which ones can be. IP from 16 costs 99. I wonder if any of these are really close. Like sometimes you'll see, yeah. Oh, here's one. Function 2 complex cost 81 exceeds budget of 80. I wonder if we could shave one off. I'm just curious. Really? Why is this? That seems strange. That seems like an awfully simple function. Maybe just the string, maybe the reflection. I don't know. That's weird. Huh. That's wild. Yeah, I wonder where the cost would come from here. So I know that the inliner heuristics do change between Go releases and such. You're curious if it'll be inlined if you rewrite the range as an old style for loop, if it will inline. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think that the reality is a lot of these functions, they don't really care. It's more so like the bit twiddling stuff, like a lot of these, like, you know, the masking functions and stuff. Like, I think these are the things where it really matters, and these are already pretty damn quick, I believe. Let's check the opposites. Let's check inlining, you know. Sort unique, right? Oh. That didn't work the way I expected. Cut the first 15 characters off. I'm always terrible at these shell one-liners. 25. Yeah. Probably not worth it. Anyway. Barb command. Love it. It's a good emote. Why won't you inline? I think what I need to do is I need to like get a green screen and make stupid faces and then make emotes. I'll have to run the first field. Yeah, I could. I don't care right now. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of these are being inlined. A lot of the, especially the simple stuff like checking for the family. Intern value get, IP zone. Net join host port, really? That could be inlined? Huh. The masking functions are being inlined, so the stuff that's doing the real work, like the mask 4 and mask 6, those are what I would expect. Cut-d-f1. Here we go. Chat teaches Matt how to use a shell. I'm kidding. I'm pretty bad. Apparently not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can go without it. You did that wrong. Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I have to look up the cut-d empty. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good mod and a good friend right there for sure. Ah, okay. Delimit on the space. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I don't really want to mess around with shell stuff right now. I was just more so curious, you know. It's all good. It's all good. I think that the stuff where it really matters, it looks like a lot of these calls are being inlined. I guess I could like add the annotations, but I feel like they might complain about the noise of some of these really simple ones, you know. It would be more so like if there was a complex function that was written a very specific way to be inlined where you want to keep it. But a lot of these are so simple where it just doesn't really probably matter. So Parse Ip, for example. Let's make this bigger again. Shell stuff always messes me up. Yeah, me too. I'm bad. I'm awful at shell. Yeah, can I inline Parse Ip? Yeah, 996 exceeds budget 80. Yeah, it's a complicated function. And then Parse IPv4 can't be inlined because of the for loop right now, and then the complexity later on as well, right? Cannot inline, yeah. Usually use awk because I often want to change the order or mutate the column, so I forget simple cut. Yeah, I use awk as well, but like I mostly use awk just to pick out individual fields of stuff. Like I know it's like an entire language, but I frankly have just never bothered to learn the complexities of it. My awk is not on a point, so I use cut. Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. But the thing is I'm bad with cut too, so it doesn't even matter. I'm bad with both, you know. I might be pretty good at Go and pretty good at network programming and stuff, but I'm real bad at shell one-liners and bash. So there's nothing in here about compare? I feel like compare would be inline and calls the IP less method. Yeah. So compare is too complex at the moment. IP zone. Let's see here. IP zone is too complex as well. How about prefix? Too complex. I think a lot of stuff that really matters, I guess probably what I'll do here is the stuff that is inlined right now, I'll add the GCassert directives and then maybe just propose a PR. They might not like it because of the noise, but let's see here, inlining. So any of these little simple ones, I feel like I'll just write them. I'll just make sure they're inlined, you know? Can you, a sec. Above the line in question or after as an inline comment. Right, so for example, if I try and add this to, what happens if I do this? I just don't want to show up in the docs. Yes, the next function. Okay. Because the problem is if I add this like right here, I feel like it'll show up in the docs. Go doc. Parse IP. Oh, it does ignore the directives. Okay. That's cool. So I guess any of these simple ones I could just mark as inlineable, right? Call was not inlined. So IPv6 raw. IP from 16. Which one of these can't be inlined? 82. Interesting. Maybe just do it for the helper functions, like and not the export APIs. Maybe do it for the internal stuff. The allocations. Yeah, you could be right. I'm not sure. Frankly, this is not my area of expertise. And then, for example, we can't inline. We already know we can't inline this. Yeah. I guess I'll make sure some of the helpers are inlined. Some of the, like for example, this and this, right? Those seem like useful things. Yep. Oops. Does this work? It does. All the uints in the shifts. I guess it's possible. Not sure. Yeah, I wish I knew more about Is this, can this, yeah, maybe it is the allocations. Let's see. In the masking ops? No, I think prefix is too complex, right? No, it's not, really. I don't think prefix can be inline though. Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Suppose I could just scatter this around a bit and just like I said, just propose it as a draft, you know. Doesn't hurt. I need to fix that too. Is this probably not? Yeah. Mm. Oh, the loops and everything too. Recursive function calls, that's right. I suppose if this is written as iterative, though, with 116, it could be inlined. The damn emoji. I don't put emoji in my code, but, you know. Go get rid of that. MDL, GC, assert. Suppose I could also add a GC assert workflow in here, couldn't I? GC assert. Let's see here. So Go version 1.15. I'd expect that would do it, right? Adding a new workflow. Let's see here. So netaddr. Add GC assert. Annotations to ensure function inlining. Give that a go. See what happens, you know? And this is netaddr, right? Oh. Don't have any history in this browser window. Man. Let's see, fixes. I added. I mostly used some hand waving to figure out functions that looked simple or critical enough to merit the annotation, but I'm sure there are more to be done. If this is not something we'd like to maintain, that's okay, but I figured I would open this for discussion. Did it pass? No, it hasn't even started. Okay, there we go. GC assert. There we go. Now we've got an action. Oops. Keep going the wrong way. Looks good. Sweet. Well, we done good, gang. Yeah, this is a little hand wavy, but I mostly just added it in places where I figured that, like, these calls are simple enough where they must be trivially inlineable, but then it can be introduced in more complex places later on if need be. Cool. Ship it. We done some good. What's your OnlyFans name? God damn it. Hashtag priorities, right? Let's see here. You're ridiculous. All right, I'm gonna get some more water and stuff. I'll be back in just a sec. BRB. Where is my BRB screen? Ah, there we go. All right, we're back. When had some juice, had some coffee, a quick little shot of cold brew. Feels good. Get back to it, Let's see here. I'm unmuted. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I thought for a second I had like muted my mic, but cool. Yeah. All right. Making good progress. So I'm kind of wondering what else I want to do today on stream. So I don't really want to get involved in like a big like project necessarily, but I think it could be kind of interesting just to maybe I guess maybe start breaking down the intern stuff a little bit more and like write up like a blog. Like I don't know if that's something that'd be super interesting on stream though. It's like I would be writing some code examples and stuff and kind of discussing it with you all. So I guess that could be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe. If that's something I wanted to do. Let's see here. It's kind of funny because I got the Twitch chat, of course, which is the primary communication, but I've also got the back channel of my friends talking smack. What does intern mean in this setting? Yeah, so in this case, like intern means like basically retaining a reference to something. I feel like my webcam, like I can't get the angle right. Like when I'm standing up, it's too low. When I'm sitting down, it's too high. Intern in this context means like basically making it so that you don't have to keep putting more and more values in memory. You can deduplicate things and like save memory and save time. So that's what it means in this context. The computer science form of interning. I guess I wonder what the original meaning of the word intern is, right? Like of course we know like, a new employee, but student trainee, let's see here. Medicine? No. Penal? Confined as a prisoner, especially for political or military reasons. I think the confinement, yeah, they were interned. Yeah, I think in this case it's the confinement. Like you were confining these strings to like a fixed place in memory instead of having to create more and more on demand. I think that's the definition here. Let's see here. Why do I have my GitHub page open? I don't know. I was looking at dark mode, but I don't know if I like it or not. Like it's okay, but I feel like I've gotten so used to GitHub in the light mode. It's the same thing as an unpaid intern or prisoner. Yeah, it's true. Don't ever accept an unpaid internship. Don't do it. I know in some fields that's like a thing, but I think that unpaid internships are a joke. Well, actually, when I got my first one of my first internships, they told me they told me during the interview, like, we've done both paid and unpaid internships in the past, and I stopped them right there, and I was like, I will not accept this job if it's unpaid. Like, I can't do it. I need to pay rent. And they paid me. So, like, it was just, maybe other people in that situation would have been, whatever, but let's see here. Some of the contrast is not good on dark GitHub, or it looks weird. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, too. Like, the contrast is just kind of meh. I'm just so used to the light GitHub, I guess. You're about 10 years too late for what? Unpaid internships? Yeah, sorry. I've never had one, thankfully. Yeah, hashtag treat yourself. You deserve better. Dark mode is too dark. Need gray mode. Yeah, I agree. Like, I like a dark background with like these light fonts and stuff, like the Monokai scheme and stuff like that. But the dark mode is just like so. It's like dark, and these blues are still kind of dark. And like if I try and read the code and stuff, it's just not quite right. And I don't know. I don't really like that very much. At least I haven't gotten accustomed to it yet. Let's see here. It's been a little bit since I've done a blog or anything. But I suppose this is something we could do, right? What was the last one I wrote? Cored? 2022-11? Did I do a blog this summer? Yeah, I did the generics one. That's right. The Go Generics draft design with the hash table. Yeah, this is fun. I think this made it to #1 on Hacker News. First time I'd ever done that. That's pretty cool, So I think probably what I'm going to do here is get an article going and look at the code for intern 2. I just think this is pretty fascinating, especially the way that it turns off, the check pointer checks. You started writing a post last night, we'll probably finish today. Nice. Yeah, I figured, like, it's kind of funny. I was talking to, I think, Fatih Arslan a number of years ago now, and Fatih was telling me, like, what you need to do is, like, make sure you write it and release it at, like, 1 o'clock Eastern on a weekday, because, like, San Francisco people are just getting to their office. The East Coast people are coming back from lunch, and, Europe and everybody else is kind of like, whatever. I'm kidding. People at Europe can read it at night, But it seems like, if you, like, write a blog post and you release it on, like, a Sunday, like, nobody's going to see it, right? Like, you really need to, like, release it and then do the Reddit, Hacker News, etc. rounds, like, right away. And then that makes a difference, So let's go ahead and copy this whole thing. Let's see here. So string interning, package intern, go, yeah. String interning in Go for now. So we'll say 12:29. We're gonna follow my rule here and pretend like we're gonna post this tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but string interning in Go. I also don't believe in posting my own posts, but I know I've gotten flack for that in the Go for Slack. You should post your own posts. Do not be afraid to self-promote. Like, I mean, I guess the thing is with me is that, like, I don't know. I have this kind of, like, confidence and stuff, and I know that some people can come off as, like, arrogance and whatever else, but I think that you really should share your own. I really think you should share your own thing. You should be proud of what you've done and be like, I want people to see this. This is important to me. And it's like, I mean, if you really don't want to do that, like, I'm happy to post your stuff too. That requires your blog to be good first. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I find that people, more often than not, I find they're more interested in stuff than I think they will be. Yeah, so we added, I think I tagged you in the issue, actually, Jordan, but we added let's see here. I can never figure out if I should call you Jordan or Large Data Bank on stream. Probably that, but I added, I did a pull request on netaddr. Jordan is fine. Yeah, I apologize. I know some people like to keep their Twitch and their personal personas very separate and stuff, but yeah. So I just created this, and I added some GC assert and a GitHub workflow to make sure some of these, like, bit manipulation helpers are all inlined. You dislike your own blog posts since you mostly write them to cater to your own needs. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like, it's important to know that, like, when you write that stuff, you're not writing it for. I mean, you are writing it for you to some extent, but it's like, I think it's important to realize that, like, you probably have knowledge that you take as implicit that you share in those things that's totally new to some people. People are blown away whenever I share, like, some of my networking stuff or whatever else. They're like, I had no idea. Or my netlink blogs, like, I've had dozens of people ask me about those or talk to me like, oh, I'm writing this thing in Python and your netlink blog really helped me. And I find myself going back to them and looking at them as a reference because it's been like 4 years, you know? So it's like, it's worth doing, you know? I'm going to link this article too. You just kind of, yeah, I mean, you just kind of got to put yourself out there and just go for it, right? Seems useful. I'll go ahead and remove a lot of the contents of this. I like to have a bit of a template that I follow. Like my conclusion section and whatever else. Where is it? Get rid of the bonus section. Cool. Oh. We have burned through another album. What do I want to listen to? Spotify's been on a bit of a journey with me recently. Like, I went from, like, Journey to Huey Lewis in the News to, like, all this random stuff. It was pretty funny. Boston sounds kind of good. Or some Rush. I don't know. Oh, Sum 41. That sounds good. Let's do that. I'm very much an album listener in general. So you take the same approach I do. My template is copying the last blog post. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I like to have a somewhat consistent style, but if I'm just trying to write stuff, then if I'm trying to write like just off the top of my head, I tend to deviate, and I don't like that. On a journey with Journey. Do you like Huey Lewis in the News? What, do you not? I think I played Hip to Be Square in band one time and stuff, but yeah. I mean, it's just catchy, you know? Also, apparently at my parents' wedding, they played Hit to Be Square, and everybody was saying it's Hit to Be Lair. Which is perfect, and I definitely want to keep that in my back pocket, you know? Let's see here. Oh, great. You were in band. Get out of here. I don't want to deal with you right now. I'm going to demod you. Oh, your American Psycho quote was insufficiently obvious. Oh, you know, I've only seen that movie once, honestly. I saw the knife and I thought you were like threatening me. And I was like, what's going on? Catch 22 or Streetlight Manifesto. I've seen Streetlight live before. I don't know if I've ever listened to Catch 22. Maybe on the radio, but I discuss ecofor.org intern package and the techniques it uses to implement string interning in Go. Is that syntax highlighting? Is this broken because of the word wrap? Anyway, cool. Yeah, so let's see here. How do I get started? Bit of code, conclusion, introduction. So I guess I usually start by telling you a little bit about like what the problem is, right? So let's see here. inet.af netaddr. Yeah, there have been a number of commits in here, but the one where they introduced the string interning stuff was pretty interesting. There was a pretty long discussion about that. Let's see here. So it was originally introduced in this commit, fixes number 53. Yeah, so this is, let's see here. This is where things got started, was this thread. So requires an allocation to box the 4-byte or 16-byte into an interface. Must be comparable, must support v6 zones, able to distinguish v4 and v6 mapped. Shouldn't be bigger than a slice. Upper bound for tolerable value types. I'm just reading through it. It's been a couple weeks now, so let's see here. Can't imagine why one would want to need a zone identifier. A never shrinking mapping table between instance strings. And then it got smarter with the zone type thing. Yeah. This is a really interesting thread, but having to read through the entire thing again right now would be like too much. Cool. I've recently been involved with the AF netaddr package for Go, which introduces a new netaddr IP type to supplant the existing, to replace the existing standard library net IP type. There are a variety of reasons for this. You can see them in the Go doc, right? Ah, I lost my mouse. The problem is with having three 4K monitors is like sometimes my pointer is stuck like up in the vertical monitor. And I'm just like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And I can't find it. And right now I've got like 10 copies of my webcam between OBS and whatever else, so I'm even more distracted. You know. Oh boy, my friends are day drinking. Yeah, I mean, I got time off. I guess I could open a beer if I wanted to, but as soon as I like start drinking like a beer though, like I have no interest in doing anything productive for the rest of the day. Like I can like program barely, like, but I have no interest in like writing blogs or anything else. Like I just won't care anymore, you know. What chat is day drinking? Some of my whiskey friends. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you were day drinking right now. I shouldn't say to replace, as an alternative to the standard libraries. Some of us work. My alcohol code is weird, like it functions. Yeah, I mean, I still write pretty good code when I'm drinking, but like I said, like as soon as I get off the rails, like it's just done. Like I have no interest anymore, you know. I enjoy it, but the thing is for me is I find I have to like separate these things in my life, or else I just don't get anything done, you know. There are a variety of reasons for this. Variety of reasons for this, but those are not the focus of today's blog. And I want to link specifically to the README, which is, I need to close these damn tabs. You know, I keep a separation of work and drink. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, there have been times before where like I've gone to like when I worked at a couple companies here in Kalamazoo and stuff, like I would like some Fridays we would go out to lunch and like get like a beer and stuff, and I remember going back to the office and I had 4 more hours of work, and it's like I just got nothing done because I'd had a beer, you know. I'm like completely incapable. Let's see here. Go ahead and link this. Was not the focus of today's blog. Did I get the brackets wrong there? No, I didn't. Okay. Alcohol makes me very distracted. Yeah, I feel the same way. The folks over at Tailscale have been... Another link. IO? Oh, com. Okay. IO domains are overrated. Use .net. He had a colleague that used to work for Remy Martin. They had to pay for soft drinks at parties, but all hard liquor was free. He said it was really hard to get work done. Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, when I was at DigitalOcean, we had a kegerator in the office and stuff, and like I know my first summer there, like, you know, I was 22 or 23, and it's like I would, you know, I was just hanging out with other remote workers and stuff, and like that was a thing, you know. That logic makes no sense. Here the Kiwi used .NET. So Tailscale have been working on improving the performance of the package in various ways, including shrinking the size of types, writing faster internal IP representations, and etc. Specifically, one topic that came up was also it's free for me at work. I work for Coca-Cola. Yeah. I mean, the problem is that you would like, I don't know. I can't really drink as much pop anymore. I suffer. And I get hyped up on caffeine and whatever else. I wanted the link to number 53, I think. This is one reason I missed the office. Yeah, I'm sure. Sounds like my first internship. Yeah. I can relate. Keep going the wrong way. Simply one topic that came up was how to shrink netaddr IP from 32 bytes, 16 bytes for IP address, IPv6 address, and 16 bytes for a string header for the IPv6 zone. How to shrink the netaddr IP type from 32 bytes to 24 bytes, the same size as a Go slice header. I've already got that link. I want the link to number 53. Uh, 53, right? Let's see. How to shrink netaddr IP. I should have rearranged this just a little bit. 32 bytes to 24 bytes. I don't really need to discuss that detail, I guess. 30 bytes, the same size as a Go slice header. Oh, my one of my Raspberry Pis is claiming it's down. Sometimes alert manager is just kind of flappier. I guess the the Prometheus node exporter sometimes will flap on me. That's weird. Shrinking the size of types, writing faster internal and writing faster internal IP, faster internal IP representations, and considering faster. There we go. How to shrink netaddr IP from 32 bytes to 24 bytes, the same size as a Go slice header. Because a netaddr IP also contains an IPv6 and also have an associated zone for IPv6 link local addresses. The type used to contain a Go string, which occupies 16 bytes. This is where the rabbit hole of string interning this is where the idea of string interning comes in order to shrink the size of the type and also avoid let's see here. Storing only one copy of each distinct value. Yeah. Shrink the size type and also reduce the number of string allocations necessary, since it is most likely that the same zone identifiers will be used repeatedly throughout a program. This is the focus of our blog today. And the unsafe techniques it uses. There we go. Cool. And I've got the Hugo stuff locally, don't I? It's been a long time since I built my website. It's unfortunate VS Code doesn't syntax highlight across line breaks. Yeah. See, that's the problem. Is I can never remember if Markdown tolerates it, but I imagine it will. It probably just strips all the white space, right? Except like for the paragraph breaks. Let's see here. Let's do the Hugo thing really quick. Hugo. Serve. Blog. I forget something? 1229. Is this marked as a draft or something? I always forget Hugo stuff. String interning. It's kind of funny because it's like I built my website, like I've gone through several iterations where I had like literally a static site and then like a Go binary that served my site and was dynamic and pulled stuff, and then I've gone back to static site now with Hugo. But every time I come back to it, there's like some little thing I forget, you know, which is a nuisance for sure. Oh, it's because it's past today's date, isn't it? Yeah. So it would publish. There we go. There we go. String interning and go. Right. Sweet. Anyway. I suppose I could go ahead and run that in a separate tmux split, couldn't I? Anyway. Yeah. We are back to it. I need my other window. I can close my stream pre-flight checklist at this point. I don't need that anymore. That's where the idea of string interning comes in order to shrink the size of the type by also reducing the number of string allocations necessary. String allocations, since it is most likely, there we go. Focus for our blog today. Sweet. So I guess first maybe I should talk about the safe implementation and then talk about the unsafe stuff, right? Like, you know, the basic, talk about the basic techniques. Like I think that's where things get really, you know, the basic technique is quite simple, but the unsafe tricks here are what are really fascinating. So maybe I'll talk about the basics first because it'll take me like, you know, 10 sentences. But and I can skip some of the details as far as things like the underscore field and stuff like that. Safe implementation of string intern. Safe implementation of safe string interning in Go. Dash build future. Really? I didn't even know about that flag. I'm not surprised that's a thing, but this is one of the best things about Twitch streaming is that like people tell you stuff that like you had no idea ever existed. Like I wouldn't have even thought to think about a flag like that. I'll be darned. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate that. Or you know what's so funny is like when I first started Twitch streaming, somebody taught me about Control L for clearing your terminal, and I had no idea. I had been using Linux for, you know, 10 years, and like I had no idea about Control L, and now I use it all the time. You know, it's very funny how that works. I suppose I could just drag this pane over here, couldn't I, and use it all in the same window. There we go. Right. To start, let's see here. The final package, let's see here. Is result of this work is the package, let's see here. gofor.org intern, gofor.org intern, which uses some pretty neat unsafe tricks to implement efficient string interning. We'll start by showing off the safe implementation and gradually work our way up to the unsafe one as well. The basic idea of string interning is to have a global pool of strings. I guess in theory you could make it like, it's kind of funny because I'm always like so afraid of globals. Like I feel like the way I probably would have written this is create like a pool type, and you create that pool and you pass it around, you have it in your program. But I guess realistically, like it would be used as like a package level variable anyway, so it's effectively a global. But my intuition is to always create like individual pools, so you could have like different intern pools of different types or something. But I suppose it doesn't matter because it just accepts empty interfaces, so you could put in strings or integers or whatever the hell you want, and it'll be fine. Is to retain a global pool of strings, which can be created or fetched on the fly, reducing the number of repeated allocations for values which are identical. In its most basic form, you could implement package gofor.org intern by writing the following. Do appreciate the syntax highlighting in Hugo other than in VS Code here. So package intern, let's see here. So type. So we have a value struct, comparable value. Yeah, I guess in theory you could be able to just compare these directly, but the thing that's stopping you from comparing these directly is this right here. So maybe I add this. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably just leave it as is for now. Lithium, hey, welcome back. Thank you for 4 months. Large DA2 ancient to you as well. Appreciate that. Thank you. You can implement with a caveat by writing the following. And we'll just steal the code and simplify. Gomi, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that as well. Let's see here. I'm kind of curious how this package would look with generics, like because you can create like a pool of values, like a pool of strings or a pool of whatever else. Like that would be something. That'd be something fun to prototype as well. We could probably do that in like a subsequent stream or something if we wanted to. It'd be pretty easy, Return pointer. Yep. So we have the mutex and then the map, which is a map of interface pointer to value. Is simplify our version of simplify? It might be. Map interface value. So this is all the safe version. We do this, not equals nil, and then if it is nil, v equals value. We create it, and then we store it in the map, and then we're done. And we return it. That's that. It's really that easy, Lock the mutex, store it in the map, or retrieve it from the map, and if it's already there, return it. Let's see here. Value is already interned in the pool. Value must be created now and interned. Then interned. Okay, easy enough. Our pool of interned values and a lock to guard serialize access. Yeah, not too many lines here. So we've got a value. There's comparable. I guess maybe I will add this right now so you can't compare it directly. I never, it's kind of funny. This is my personal style, but I really don't like comments at the end of lines. I really do prefer above always. Enforce that value cannot be used. This cannot be used for equality. Cannot be used directly for equality comparisons. We'll explain why a bit later. And then in the, yeah, it basically would just be the tests now would be, super trivial. Like, uh-oh. Oh boy. Hang on one sec. Pretty soon I'm going to be a free agent. I've been waiting almost 20 years for this. Nice. Are you a new job? Something? It'd be cool. Let's see here. Technical full strings to create a professional fly. No new job yet. Just going to leave this job. Nice. It sounds like you got a plan in mind. So cool. Good for you. There was once where I left a job without a plan. Yeah, I was working at a place where I had done an internship and I was brought on full time and I wasn't really happy anymore. Like I was working on stuff I didn't really care about. I didn't feel like my team really supported me and what I wanted to do and like all this stuff. The pay wasn't great, whatever else. And I've been interviewing for another place here in town and they give me like, I want to say it was seriously like 4 or 5 different interviews. Like I had gone in so many times and I'm like, hey, this is my BitTorrent tracker I wrote in Go. And like I showed them that like I had done that and I kind of blew them away. And I was like, there's no way they're not going to give me this job. So I put in my 2 weeks I put in my notice at my old job and I just quit. And I'm like, oh, this new place is going to hire me like nothing, right? Well, it turns out that after a couple more interviews, they're like, we can't afford to hire you full time, but we'll bring you on contract. So over the course of like 3 months, I think I did like 10 hours of contract work for them. And that was the whole thing. So, from now on, I don't leave a job without like a signed offer letter, or in this case, I'm much more financially stable, so I could. But yeah, that was a bit of a life lesson for me. The moral of the story is to have an order. Yeah, exactly. Like either have the money and like the time or whatever, and like make sure your insurance is sorted out, of course, or make sure you've already signed your offer letter, right? You're starting a new job on January 4th. Nice. I just changed teams at work a couple weeks ago. I'm working on the host. Instead of working on the control plane now, like the DNS control plane, I'm working on like the host, like network routing manipulation stuff. So we're using my Netlink library at work in production, which is pretty cool. So I've been adding improvements to things like J. Simonetti's RT Netlink for things like MPLS multipath. Jack A, thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate that. Pretty funny. We're making a sale, but I work for my family's company, so I'm finally able to leave without the guilt. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I feel like I remember you mentioning that before, that it was kind of, things were kind of tough, so I'm glad to hear that that's working out for you. Usage of the package is pretty simple. I don't like to use the word simple. Usage of the package is straightforward at this point. It also sounds super exciting. You can use your netlink lib. Yeah, so I guess kind of the way the story went is like they had been talking to, they've been interviewing candidates, and my director basically realized, like, we're looking for Matt Lair. Like, they wanted somebody who knew, like, Linux kernel, netlink, routing table, whatever stuff. And it's like, I was already working there, and they needed me for like kind of a higher priority project. And like, they wanted to hire somebody who did what I do. So why not just have me move teams? So pretty cool. Happy about it. But the same story, you did a student job, you got hired full-time, starting working on things I'm not passionate about, and my side projects got frozen by the team all the time. So I went on and looked for something else. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, honestly, if you feel like you're not growing, then, there's no reason to not, look around, Straightforward is even worse than simple. I don't think so. I feel like simple is like a cursed word in technology. Usage of the package is straightforward. And I'll just copy some of the tests, I suppose, too, I think. Oops. Intern test. So something like this. Oh, you know what I could do here? I could do a multi-cursor, couldn't I? It doesn't really matter. It's not going to save me that much time. Suppose I could put this in the function body and make it so it makes more sense. And yes, I will credit them, of course. Let's see here. We don't actually need the bar at all, so just foo and foo2 and bar 2. This proves the intern package. Let's see here. Global pool in the intern. Global pool in the library. Simple has objective metrics. Simple made easy. Rich Hickey. I started a new job 4 weeks ago as well. Oh, nice. I didn't realize you changed jobs. I thought you were with Amazon. So I guess I'm not sure if you are sharing where you're going, but nice. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. Next up is services and security at the Research Network of Belgium. Hoping to think up a thing or two there. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Very cool. Like I was saying, deploy core red in production. That'd be cool. Oh, you used to work at EKS, now Google. Hey, congrats. That's amazing. Good for you. There was one point where I had a Google interview, like I was going to get it set up, and I decided I was not good enough in algorithms. Like I kind of, screened myself out, of course, but frankly, I don't think I would be a great fit. Like I really do enjoy like the startup type of thing. And not that Fastly's a startup anymore, but I enjoy the smaller company sort of stuff. And they've treated me well, You didn't know Stauffenberg was here? Yes, he is. I popped up as a suggested reviewer for a change I did. Yeah, nice. Yep, he is there. He's been at Google for a number of years, as far as I know. In the library, stored the string, so foo, on the first call to intern get foo. And the same intern value was returned and stored in both foo and foo2. Oh, I just finished another album. Coming up on 3 hours on stream now. Okay. I used to be, I've always been like an album listening guy. Like I know some people do shuffle all the time. I've been doing shuffle more in my car because now I finally got a new car and I have Android Auto and all that fancy stuff. But at home, I really just do like albums, How about some Weezer? It's been a long time. There we go. When I was at Google, I went all the way to Zurich from Sydney for a few weeks to work with some of my team, but then I had to fly back early due to COVID. Never got to meet him. That's a bummer. Is Fastly that small though? Yeah, we're like 1,000 people now. I've been about 3 people to 850,000 person companies. Holy cow, that's insane. Yeah, Fastly's like 1,000 people now. I joined, I think we were like 450 a couple years ago. I've been at Fastly for a little more than 2 years now, and I was DigitalOcean from 40 or 50 people up to like 500. So I joined DigitalOcean very early. But there is a catch to this approach. If we keep adding more and more values to the pool, it will continue to grow in size and allocate more and more memory until our program eventually runs out of memory and crashes. Don't start a sentence with but. Yeah, you're right. However, there is a catch to this approach. Thanks. Unless you're Welsh. In fact, this is the trade-off made by go4.org/intern for the safe mode of the package, for the safe operating mode of the package. If you run your program with the environment variable, I wasn't really sure how it would feel writing a blog on stream, but it seems like I've still got a good amount of viewers and a good amount of interaction, so I hope this isn't too boring. I mean, I'm just kind of breaking down everything I know, but you all are giving me a little bit of help, and we can talk about whatever else, so this is cool. You know, yeah, I apologize, not much like original coding today. I'm sure that's something we'll do. Given Matt's gut for whiskey, he might be Welsh. Yeah, for real. Buddy means friend in Wales, unlike in Nottingham where buddy means sandwich. I don't have to read it later. Win-win. There you go. Yeah, I do have a bit of a gut for whiskey for sure, and beer. But I actually just recently took a month off of drinking. Black Friday was the last time I really had anything, and then I had surgery and all this stuff, and I was supposed to not drink for a while, and I kind of wanted to like challenge myself. So I've only had like just like a couple beers in like a few days now. But yeah, it's actually been really nice. You can tell you sleep better and whatever else too. But of course, I'm very excited. I have something very special. So I still, my whiskey shelf is still a little messy to show on stream, but hang on one sec. I'll be right back. So I am very excited because I bought this for myself. The Hakushu 18 year by Suntory. So I've had Yamazaki 12 and Yamazaki 18, thankfully. And I've had Hakushu 12, but I've never had Hakushu 18 year. And I think Hakushu really is my favorite Suntory whiskey. So I am thrilled to open this. And I'm going to open this, I think, on New Year's Eve. So that's going to be really good. So just waiting a couple more days. But yeah, my Yamazaki 18 went down super fast. I found that in like February or March this year, and I think it's down to like 4 ounces left. So that went quick, you know. There we go. You're coming for NYE. All right, let's rage. Make a 24-hour stream with only this. You mean like whiskey or blogs? Or I don't know if I could ever do a 24-hour stream. I know like some of the streamers I watch, like they stream like 70 hours a week, and I cannot fathom how they do it because I'm exhausted after like, 3 or 4 hours. Like we're coming up on 3 and I'm still feeling good, but I've only had the Yamazaki. It's good. Yeah, Yamazaki's amazing. Hakushu has got like just a tinge of peat, and I've gotten really into the peaty whiskey. So peaty whiskey is awesome. So I'm really excited to try that. I am not going to mix. I think Mick is actually out of town, but I'm not totally sure. Both drink whiskey and blog. Yeah. Goodness. The environment variable. Let's see here. Equals true. Then the safe mode will be used, and you prefer Pete. It sounds great. Yeah, it's super good. Hakushu 12 is amazing. Like if you ever see it, pick it up. It's like $100 here. The Hakushu 18, I think, is like a $300 bottle. I unfortunately paid like $450 for it because I was desperate and I could get it shipped to my house. So what are you gonna do? 24 hours of whiskey might have been interesting. Yeah, I would not be in good shape. Me and long drinking days, that's a thing. I think it'd be pretty funny to like get together with like large data bank and some other people, like, and just like do a stream where we just like have a couple beers and just hang out and shoot the shit about stuff. I think that would be pretty fun, Maybe I'll talk to him and see if he wants to do that this week. And like we could just talk tech and work on whatever. I think that could be pretty fun, Sounds like a visit to the hospital. Yeah. Sitting here in Wales with an empty bottle of Earn Brew and a half jar of cocktail cherries. I guess that's my evening started. Nice. Safe mode will be used, and the map will continue to safe mode will then no unsafe tricks will be used, and the internal pool will continue to grow until eventually to grow as more items are added. For some programs, this may be an acceptable trade-off. 742.92 from Hard to Find Whiskey. Yeah, I paid wow, yeah, I paid like I think I said I paid like $4.50 shipped or something. So yeah, that's very expensive. Yeah, some of those stores, like I've had good luck with actually a store I really like, the whiskeyworld.com. They are based in the UK, and they have a great selection, and they ship crazy fast, and they ship really well. Like my friends and I have ordered probably 30 bottles from this place, and they're phenomenal. So I actually bought Octomore 10-year 4th edition. This one. I bought one of these, and it is incredible. And I kind of have a rule where I don't really try to buy backup bottles of whiskey, but holy shit, I want to back up for this bottle of whiskey. Yeah, it's incredible. This is gonna be one I'm gonna drink on New Year's as well. But I'm a big Lafroig fanboy, so I'm always going on here looking for stuff. They got the 16-year-old, which I guess I could have sworn this was like an Amazon UK exclusive or something. This isn't sold in the States, so I bought one of these. I've got a couple of bottles of 25. I've got Brodier. I've got Cardias 2017 through 20. And then Amontillado. I want this, but it's €300 now, which is really expensive. Or 300 pounds. Euro, pound, same thing, right? No, I know. Sorry. Someone else who is one of my Twitch friends loves Lafroig smokiness. Yeah, Lafroig's my favorite. Lafroig was my first ever whiskey. I feel like that would be I feel like Lafroig would be a pretty hard first whiskey, but I love this stuff. It took me a while to get used to peat. I started with bourbon, and it took me a long time to get used to Scotch, but I think Lafroig is probably my favorite whiskey brand. If travel wasn't irresponsible, I'd be flying over to you right about now. Yeah. I've got a bit of a collection, I'll tell you that. It's maybe an acceptable trade-off. Let's see here. Some programs paying an acceptable trade-off, but that wouldn't be a fun place for us to wrap up this blog, would it? You like Ardbeg and Kalila as well? I love Kalila. Ardbeg is also very good. I think my personal favorites are... My top 3 Islas are probably Lafroig, Bruichladdich, and Kalila. And I would have a hard time picking Kalila or Bruichladdich as my second because Octomore and some of the Kalilas I have are so good too. I have a... Okay, one more bottle of whiskey I'm going to pull out. One sec. So earlier this year, my friend introduced me to the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, which I guess is this group from the UK that's like 40 years old. And they have an American branch now, and I joined this club, so it's like $99 a year, but you get access to all these rare single barrel releases of stuff. And for whatever reason, they're cranking out tons of Kalila. So I think I have like 3 or 4 different Kalila releases from them, but I bought this guy. So this is a Kalila 30-year cask strength Isla whiskey. And it is beautiful. It is fancy. It is delicious. Like, I love this thing so much. And I bought this for myself as a bit of an early 30th birthday present because I turned 30 next year in July, and that's gonna be a special whiskey for that day too. I've had a couple pours of it and it's phenomenal. But yeah, I love that stuff so much. Hey, it's Morrow. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I think the stream description needs to be updated and whiskey's topic. Yeah, for sure. Fancy. You like Macallan and Glenmore? Isn't it Glenmorangie? I always said Glenmorangie. I think it's Macallan and Glenmorangie. But yeah, I like both those two. I really am an Isla guy, though. Old. Yeah, hell yeah. Hey, getting old's great, man. I'm starting to get some gray hair. I'm, financially stable and successful in my career and my streaming and my open source, and can't complain, right? It'll be a fun place for us to wrap up this blog. Let's see here. Unsafe string interning in Go. Dominic, well done. You have sophisticated taste. Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine having Lafroig as my first whiskey. I think my first was Eagle Rare, really. I mean, other than Jack Daniels and stuff, but Eagle Rare was my first serious attempt into bourbon. And I still love Eagle Rare, but I've mostly moved on to Scotch these days. You're tall enough where you can get a huge bald spot and no one would see it. That's true. I've actually shaved my head a few times for Halloween costumes and stuff, so I'm not too worried about it if I have to, Can't wait to see what I'm going to do next. I remember getting involved in Go pre-beta. It was fun, but I work in a C# company. Gotcha. Yeah, Go, I didn't start using it until 1.1 or 1.2. I actually think it was 1.1. I think it was pretty early 1.1, and then 1.2 came out pretty close after. First place bit leader. Poggers, right? PogChamp, shout out to Jackace for the 200 bits. I appreciate that. In order to let's see here, make use of string interning while also, what is that? It's Poggers. Oh my gosh. Also cooperating with the garbage collector to free unused values from the pool. Dominic, thank you for the 1 bit. I appreciate that. I'm bit poor. I think it's kind of funny because I had to buy bits for both MD Lair and my other account I use because I use the other one for my gaming streamers and stuff, and this one for programming. So I've got subs on different accounts and I've got gaming or bits on different accounts because I want to be able to cheer for stuff. It's pretty silly. Okay, free unused values from the pool. We have to. It is necessary to bend the package unsafe rules. This is what inspired me to author this blog. I've written a lot of unsafe code in the past, but have never intentionally stepped over the guardrails. Never intentionally stepped over the guardrails? Stepped outside the guardrails. I've never intentionally stepped outside the guardrails that the unsafe rules provide for you. I need to link those as well, I'm sure. So Golang unsafe. Spelled that wrong. Doesn't matter. Google got it. Sweet. Where are the rules? They list on the pointer type, right? Yeah, they're there. What does unsafe code mean? So what it means in this context is you are allowed to do operations which step outside the safety features of the language. I know, for example, that something in my memory occupies 8 bytes of memory. And I know this other structure, which is different, but also occupies 8 bytes of memory. So I could write a function to potentially copy stuff between those, but in certain circumstances, it's faster, it's more efficient or necessary to basically say, I know what I'm doing. I want to reinterpret this as that. And that's kind of what it means. It's basically stepping outside the guardrails of the language. The language has rules that you need to follow in order to write code that code that is safe, code that won't crash, code that doesn't contain obvious errors. And by using the unsafe package in this case, we're able to step outside those rules and do really efficient and tricky things. But generally, you should never be reaching for unsafe first. So you should always write something in the simplest way possible. So for example, we wrote this. We copied this code from this package, and this is the safe way, but this has a trade-off which we can't get around. There's no way for us to ever reclaim memory. Once we put something in this pool, it's stuck there forever. But by using some tricks with unsafe, we were able to step around the guardrails here and have something that's very efficient and also will not leak memory. It's basically duct taping over the dead man switch on a production machine. Yeah. Yep. So like this is saying like I'm going to break the glass. I know what I'm doing. And at that point, like the compiler gets out of your way and tells you like, you need to know the rules. And, in this case, we're actually shutting off one of the rules, which is pretty fascinating. I think girls unsafe rules provide for you. The unsafe pointer. So actually, we should have Lefreg. Hey, I'm just saying, I'm turning 30. I'm turning 30 next year, and Twitch chat, I could really use a nice 30th birthday gift. You all got about 799.90 pounds sitting around, don't you? I'm sure I'm gonna end up buying one of those. I'm a fanatic. I got a custom Lefroy sign made. You guys probably, or you all probably saw the picture of that. Hang on, twitter.com mdlayer. Yeah. This is from a shop on Etsy. Like somebody makes these and I have this now and I can't wait to like hang it up in my bar. It's amazing. I like you. I don't 799 GBP like you. Well, I appreciate that. Nah, I'm sure I will end up saving money for that and buying it, but my goal right now is to buy my house, and then I need like network upgrades and all that too, so it'll be a while. In particular, we are going to break, which rule is it? Yeah, so this is the rule we're going to break right here. So the uint pointer and unsafe pointer, both conversions must appear in the same expression with only the intervening arithmetic between them. So storing a uint pointer in a temporary variable and then applying something, like this is technically invalid because if Go were to have a moving collector, you have now lost the pointerness of this. This is just a memory address. It's possible that it can move and suddenly you get to use after free. So specifically, this is the rule we're going to break. So we're specifically going to break rule number 3. Specifically, we have to violate rule 3. Note that both uint pointer and unsafe pointer conversions must appear in the same expression with only the intervening arithmetic between them. Yep. Okay. I wonder, do you all think I should introduce the code first for the unsafe implementation, or should I talk about the rule first? Because like maybe it will make more sense if I talk about maybe it'll make more sense if I discuss the code first and then explain the rule. Because right now, if I just say this without context, I feel like it's kind of lacking. I think you can run into this issue even without a moving GC because of growable stacks. Yes, you are correct, actually. That is something that Matthew Dembski posted about as well. So you are correct. Unsafe, assume no moving GC. He actually posted an example that does move the stacks. So right here. So I need to mention this as well. Let's see here. In a hypothetical future version of Go, it is possible that the value Did I just hear assume a non-moving GC? Yes, you did. Yeah. That's why I'm writing this blog, because I think this is fascinating. Like, it's not a lot of code, but it works and it's fascinating. Like I think this needs to be shared. You know, it's possible that the value pointed at by unsafe pointer p. The unsafe pointer p. It's possible that the value stored at the address pointed at by the unsafe pointer p could be moved in between the conversion and assignment u : uint pointer p. You can already hear the res in the comment section. Reddit enhancement suite. RES. Rust Evangelism Strike Force. Yeah. Could be moved. Possible the value stored at the address pointed at in the Go heap could be moved in between the conversion and assignment and the pointer arithmetic operating the pointer arithmetic, which the pointer arithmetic p equals unsafe pointer u plus offset. Note that specifically Go does have a moving garbage collector for its stacks, but not the heap as of Go 1.15. See Matthew Dembski's issue for more details. Probably the re's. I'll go ahead and link this too. So, should I go.dev? Is there no Go doc on here? No, there's not. Oh, that's right. Go4.org, unsafe. In order to enforce this, in order to catch packages, which this is actually super cool that there is such an import. I would have used this the other day. Yeah, it's pretty new. I think it's basically been like this week. So if this is something you want to use, like you should use this import because it will make your stuff explode. Large data bank, you down for a whiskey stream? Yeah. So what I don't know if you were around, but I was saying like it could be fun this week potentially to get like a few Go streamers together or something, and like either just like I don't know, like have a drink and talk code or whatever, and it's like we could answer questions from the chats and whatever else. Like that could be kind of fun, you know. So if you're down for that, I would absolutely be down. You know, we could I just assume like with the holidays, folks don't have a whole lot going on, but yeah, we could always do it another time too if need be, or maybe like on like a Friday night or something one time. Down. I'm mostly off this week. Sweet. Good to know. Yeah, we should talk to we should get a hold of like Dembski and Stoffelberg and stuff. You'd be happy to join us in stream? Yeah, heck yeah. It'd be a lot of fun. We could get like a Discord call going or whatever else. It'd be great. I want to bring up this package here. I want to bring up this package to discuss. I need to introduce it before I talk about the Dembski stuff. I'll join as viewer. Yeah, I think it could be really great. You know, kind of like our own like casual like go time sort of thing. But you don't want to hear my sexy voice; it'll be distracting. Nice. In order to enforce, because we are relying on the invariant that the Go garbage collector as of Go 1.15 does not move data in the heap. I'm on a diet now, eating salmon and veggies. I feel like a grizzly bear. Yeah, I had to be on I had to be on a liquid diet for a little bit before my surgery and after, and then like I'm finally working my way back up to normal food, and it's nice. I was able to go get a burrito bowl from Chipotle and eat that, and that was like the first like real food I've had in like a while. Back or knee, stomach actually, like stomach and like my specifically like my esophagus and stuff. I was having trouble like swallowing food and stuff for a while, which stunk. And like when I'm streaming, I would have a hard time like talking, and I would like burp and stuff. It was just kind of like embarrassing and gross, and I was like, ugh. So I'm really glad I finally got that fixed. Yeah, I'm doing really well now. Don't worry, no worries at all. You've got a half dozen cool Go miss info projects if you have to shoot the breeze on. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it can be a lot of fun. Let's not move data in the heap. Let's see here. Brad Fitzpatrick came up with a clever. That was really weird. I called dibs and all this stuff, but it didn't go well. That was really weird. I might have hit a keyboard shortcut there, but I didn't even see it happen. But I saw it happen in the Twitch preview. Like if I flipped it back and forth that fast or something. Weird. Because I'm only running a 30 FPS stream. It's not what they did. He came up with a clever pseudo package which users can import if they intend to violate this particular package unsafe rule. So no moving GC. I called dibs and all this stuff. It didn't go well. I might have just said that, but no, I survived surgery. There's nothing to worry about. It was 3 weeks ago. Oh, I should close 1 sec. I'm gonna close Thunderbird. Oh, your Amazon order. Okay. I don't like leaving Thunderbird open in case I get something, you know, whatever. But okay, we're good. Anyway, I ordered a book. People on Reddit were talking about some finance book, and I was curious, and they said it was a pretty short read, so I picked it up. Let's see here. Which users can underscore import if they intend to violate this particular package unsafe rule. If a package imports this pseudo package and a future version of Go moves to a garbage collector which rearranges items in the Go heap, rearranges items in the heap. Some embarrassing email like an order of White Claw instead of whiskey. Yeah, I'm not really big on seltzers. I've had a couple of really good craft seltzers from some places here in Michigan, but excuse me, White Claw doesn't really do it for me. Like, I'd rather just drink water. I don't like sparkling water either, though. Like, I don't like sparkling water. I don't like LaCroix. Like, none of those really do anything for me. It's like, I'd rather just have still water or beer. You know, nothing in between, or whiskey, you know. Moves to a garbage collector, rearranges the items in the heap. The package can be updated to make the program panic at runtime. Me neither. Red wine. Coffee. Yeah, coffee's good. Coffee's the best. I'm obsessed. It's like a necessity for me. Go does have a moving garbage collector for its stacks, but not for its stacks as of Go 1.15. The package name may be a bit of a misnomer at the moment, because technically Go does have a moving garbage collector for its stacks as 1.15. See Matthew Dembski's issue for more details. Unsafe string interning in Go. Okay, we talk about the invariant. You had 3 ankle surgeries. Yikes, that's no fun. Yeah, this was my first time being put under for like a surgery like this, and thankfully I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna copy Brad's Twitter, wasn't I? Thankfully it wasn't bad. And it was a laparoscopic surgery, so they did like 5 small incisions, and I had like surgical glue on them, and they're finally healing up pretty good. So it doesn't feel bad. The one thing I really do miss though is that like I just still can't lift weights. Like I can't lift more than 10 pounds. And I really like lifting weights, so that's a bummer. a package, if a program imports this package, or if a program or its dependencies import this package, and a future version of Go moves to a moving garbage collector which rearranges items in the heap, the package can be updated to make the program panic at runtime. Yes. You had to get pried open like a lobster, then a donor bone was put in partially, but I'm back lifting weights years later. Oh, wow. Could you lift more than 10 pounds before? Lol, kick W. I was doing pretty good. I've got some 15s, some 20s, and some 25s, and at the gym at one point, I could bench 45s. I want to get back to that, but it'll be a while. Technically, Go does have a moving garbage collector for its stacks as of Go 1.15. It's true. I think we've explained this sufficiently now, so let's see here. So breaking the unsafe rules. You made a home gym for this COVID thing, doing pull-ups and bench presses and whatnot. Yeah, I bought a bench and some free weights. But I miss having machines. Like, I miss very specific things. Like, I can do flies, but I can't really do rear delt. I can't really do tricep press. I can do, like, behind my head a little bit, or like shoulder stuff. I can't do leg press. Like, I miss specialized machines for things. But if you work in tech and don't lift weights, you're gonna have issues. Yeah, I completely think so too, because I for a while had like RSI type issues and stuff, and I still do. Actually, my left elbow's getting a little whatever, but I'm actually totally fine otherwise. But lifting weights really did help with that. I actually blogged about that as well a number of years ago. I did a thing called like a programmer's journey with RSI. So if you want to go check out my blog, it's on there. But it's gotten a lot better. And I think that, taking more breaks, lifting weights, going full ergonomic with the kinesis and everything has really helped me, Now that we've set the terms of engagement, it's time to dive into the unsafe implementation. Yeah, I think weightlifting is absolutely something that everybody should learn at least a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't have to get huge. You get shoulder and back pain if you don't lift weights. Yeah, I believe it. What is RSI? Repetitive strain injury. So for a long time, I would, there were days where I would code for 12 hours straight, and I would do that 6-7 days a week. And just like eventually the joints in my hands really started hurting. Is that your handwriting on the blog post? Yeah, it looks encrypted. Yeah, my handwriting's really bad, and it's gotten way worse since I type all the time now. Yeah, but I basically overused my hands and stuff for years, and I've also got cubital tunnel in this elbow, but that is mostly okay as long as I don't like sleep on it funny or do this. And I have a brace I sleep with, which helps. Not the worst I've seen. That's good. We'll lay out. We'll be implementing the code with the same API as before. I work hard at my handwriting. It's still mad. Yeah, I just don't write by hand very often. Like, I've got like a notepad here on my desk, but it's like I type 99.9% of the time. Like, I only do handwriting for like writing checks and then very brief notes to myself, basically. So we'll be implementing the intern package intern code with the same API as before, but with our newfound unsafe tricks in tow as well. What's a check? Something I have to write for my accounting place because they don't take credit. Or the car dealership because they could only put $2,000 on a credit card. My handwriting is bad, but I'm starting to take handwritten notes again, so it's improving. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I just don't use it, So now we can actually copy significant parts of this again. I don't think we're gonna finish this blog today, but we'll see where this goes, quality comparisons, this is necessary because of the resurrected Boolean below. Banking in the US is so weird, like 30 years behind most of the world. Yeah, I believe that. Thankfully, my bank's, well, I'm with Ally, and they do a pretty good job. They've got like a decent mobile app and stuff. And my credit cards are through Capital One and Chase, and they both do fine too. I think the most annoying actually is Vanguard, because you have to log into Vanguard systems like over and over and over again and constantly reconcile accounts in like YNAB, which is a pain. But otherwise, I just reconcile those like every few weeks, and that's about it. So we're getting rid of the safe code completely. The federal government got tired of banks not improving ACH, that they're doing it themselves. Really? They're like some big infrastructure changes coming to the US. I do appreciate that. I saw that in YNAB, Capital One and Chase both do OAuth authentication now, so I don't have to like log into Capital One anymore all the time, which is great. Chase was pretty good beforehand, but getting rid of the safe map. By the way, YNAB being You Need a Budget, which is an amazing budgeting app. I am a certified YNAB cult member. It is very good. So if you want to get serious about your budgeting stuff, would recommend. Value is already interned in the pool. Let's see here. Got to bounce to get some work done. Keep up the great sharing. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Blog posts and all. Yeah, absolutely, I will. For me, this is important. You know, like I want to do this kind of stuff. I want to share knowledge and get people excited. Like this is what I find exciting. You know, so thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subbing. I appreciate it. Take care. Trying to do a bank transfer to another bank takes like 9 to 12 days. They basically mail checks to each other and cash them. I'm used to bank transfers being instant. Wow. I think here, between the couple of banks I've had to transfer from, they do ACH within like a day. So it hasn't been that bad, but 9 to 12 is a lot. The government wants instant transfers like what they have in Europe. Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. Value is already entered in the pool in case a finalizer runs in the near future. We must make sure. Here we go. Obviously, you should transfer your money into Bitcoin. Simple way to avoid transfer costs. Don't ban me. I love it. In case the finalizer runs near value, we must resurrect this value. Near future, we must resurrect this value to reset the bring a value, bring it back to the active part of its life cycle. I have first texted you, and the owner of this condo has Wells Fargo, so maybe that's why it's so slow. Yeah, it could be. Remember when we talked about mining Bitcoin back in like 2010? Yeah. You know, it's funny because I think I spent like a couple $100 on Bitcoin back in like 2013, and you know, of course I sold it. So what are you gonna do? I think I have like $1,000 worth now. I'm invested like $500 and it's doubled up, but I'm just gonna let it sit because like there's no reason to do anything with it. You know, I'm just treating the money as already gone. So resurrect this value, bring back to the okay. Value is. Let's see. I want to copy my comments because I think they're a little more informative. You had a friend that bought a pizza for 3 Bitcoin back in the day. Yeah, I've heard about people doing that. There was whoever did the 20,000 Bitcoin purchase. Created now and then interned. And interned. We store a uint pointer to maintain a weak reference so that the value can eventually be garbage collected if it isn't used for a period of time. I guess I could change a couple of the variable names too if I need to. So like val map can just be val and stuff. You installed a program on the Macs of my college computer allowed to mine Bitcoin on the GPUs when nobody's using them in 2011. You somehow were not caught. Nice. Hope you got a nice payday out of that. That'd be pretty sick, you know? I mean, it was 2011. Yeah, I worked in like IT in 2011. That was a shit show. Cool. Unsafe tricks and some Go runtime finalizers. Go runtime finalizers. I'm sure many people have a Bitcoin regret story. Yeah, exactly. That's not quite the domain there, James. Close though. You saw them all at like $30. I had a lot big regrets there. Yeah, what are you gonna do? You know, I'm sure many people have Bitcoin regret story. Yeah. You missed a value map in the finalizer. Yeah, right. Thanks. Appreciate that. I wanted to grab a link to runtime set finalizer. Everyone except 50 Cent. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, literally. Literally. The thing is that like I don't treat Bitcoin as like an investment, right? Like for me, it's just like at this point, it's a see what the hell happens. But it's like, you know, I got that 3-fund portfolio with Vanguard, and my investments are good to go. You know, like easy mode. And some Go runtime finalizers as well. Okay. Bitcoin regret story. How about not buying Apple or MS stock in the 90s or a dozen other missed opportunities? Yeah, like Tesla recently, right? Yeah, or Tesla, exactly. For every missed chance, there are thousands of dodge bullets. Yeah, of course. That's true. Yeah, Tesla would have been a good one. I don't really do individual stocks. Like, I do index funds and stuff. Like I said, like 3-fund portfolio, like VTSAX, VTIAX, and VBTLX. And that's my portfolio, you know. But I could. It's kind of funny because it's like, oh, AMD a couple years ago with the Zen stuff. It's like, oh, that would have been a good one, you know. Same here, index funds with low fees. Yep. Keep it simple. And it's working really well for me, so. That's just what I tell myself so I can sleep at night. Yep. I think we can get rid of this point. Joining Amazon when the shares were at 572 was a good deal. Wow. I have no idea what the stock price of Amazon even is, but that's insane. Can only imagine though. Map. You're 30 and you have 0 investments, which is the real issue. Yeah, it's not too late to, it's never too late to start, right? I mean, like I would do well, I guess you're in Germany, so frankly I have no idea. But it's like, do like the tax advantage like retirement stuff first, and then look at the taxable stuff at some point. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing until like really about a year ago, and I got really, really serious about it this past year. So it's never too late. I don't think my parents really started doing investments and stuff until they were like in their 40s, you know. I feel like at this point this is complicated enough where perhaps I should break this down into several sections. I don't know. Or I guess specifically I could just share the code as is and then copy and paste pieces of it. Like the previous one is so small that it doesn't really matter, but this is where things get trickier. Or maybe I'll break down get and finalize specifically. You think section sounds good? Yeah. Yeah. Because if you just give somebody a bunch of code, like, I mean, people who really care are going to read the code, but people who don't, like, are just going to skim over it, you know, whatever. So I think I'll probably break down get and finalize step by step, and that would be probably the way to do it. The code comments above attempt to describe the ideas in play, comma, but let's break down get and finalize specifically to discuss how these interact with each other and the Go runtime. Personally, I default to skimming code in blog posts. Yeah, me too. So I should break it down into sections. Like I'll share the whole thing, but I'll break it down into sections too. Go for org intern, right? So get and finalize specifically discuss how these interact with each other and the Go runtime. So starting with get, we acquire the mutex around the map of interned. I feel like I should also define weak reference, right? Weak reference. I hate this Chrome text highlighting thing. Reference does not protect the referenced object from collection by a garbage collector. Yep. Map of interned values, which now stores the values as weak references using uint pointer rather than a concrete value type. This ensures that the values are not protected by the from collection, protected from garbage collection, and thus we must manually manage their life cycles through the concept cycles by using finalizers and the resurrected Boolean field. First, we check if the value is already present in the pool. If it is, we immediately convert the weak reference back to a value by using unsafe pointer conversion and mark the value as is resurrected so that any finalizers which run concurrently will know that this value cannot be collected, right? So this value cannot yet be freed. Found the value. Let's see here. Let's see here. Life cycles. If the value did not already exist in the pool, we can create it now and store it, intern it there by adding it to the weak map of weak references. So in this case, the resurrected value is false. Yeah. Note that the resurrected field defaults to false, meaning nobody has bothered to retrieve this value from the pool as of yet. Carl G, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. We also install a finalizer for value. We also installed the finalizer for value. Finalizers in Go are a bit of a tricky subject, and there are hey, you can't use my tier 3 emotes. Maybe you can. I don't know. Bit of a tricky subject. And Go with many caveats. Finalizers in Go come with many caveats, but we make use of them here in order to ensure that weak references in the map can be collected, sure that weak references to the map can be deleted when they are no longer needed, and thus the underlying pointer to a value can be garbage collected from the heap at some point in the future. To avoid a race, we must verify the resurrected field and set another finalizer if someone managed to fetch this value using get concurrently, yeah, runtime set finalizer. If the value was not resurrected concurrently before the finalizer runs, comma, we are able to finally free it from the weak references map. Weak reference pool. And I think this is where I should probably discuss the 3 garbage collection cycles, right? Because of the interactions here between weak references, finalizers, and possible concurrent calls to get, it may take up to 3 garbage collection cycles to remove a value from the pool and free it. 1. Let's see here. So the finalizer runs and the sentinel is cleared. Sentinel is, and the resurrected sentinel is cleared. The finalizer runs again. And deletes the value from the weak reference pool. And finally, the garbage collector is able to free the associated pointer to a value in the heap. Right? I think I'm understanding this all so far. I think I'm doing a pretty good job breaking this down. I'm definitely going to send this to the Tailscale people because they're the ones who authored this stuff, but I just think this is interesting. Like Terrence said earlier, why read the blog post in 10 minutes when you can listen to it being written in 2 hours? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think this is just a really interesting topic, and like breaking it down in this way makes it approachable, right? Yeah, I'm not going to post this today. It'll be tomorrow at the earliest, but more likely like Wednesday, depending on how long this takes and stuff. But I'm feeling good right now, though. I'm not too like burnt out or tired or anything, so I'll probably keep going. I mean, I don't know if anybody else is like streaming code tonight. I know Matthew Dembski usually streams on like Wednesdays, maybe. I don't remember his exact schedule, but he's been very committed to it, which has been really cool. I wish I could find the motivation to do this more and more often. For a long time I've been running out of projects, but today has been really good. I'm really, really glad we did this. You only stream personal projects? Yes, for now. If I were doing open source for work and they would permit me to do so, I would stream that. Like I've done some open source software, like open source being stuff that I'm like code I'm allowed to share publicly and contribute to publicly. I would do that for work, but I suspect it will not come up very often, if ever. At some point, none of us will get any work done. We'll spend 16 hours a day watching people code on Twitch. Yeah, exactly. I feel that. And with that, we've successfully implemented unsafe string interning in Go using weak references and finalizers. To see the completed implementation and for more technical details and background, check out intern.go in the go4.org intern repository. check out the code. There we go. This feels pretty good. I feel like I should discuss the no check pointer thing too. So did this not? So go no check pointer, because I ran check pointer earlier and it complained, didn't it? So this annotation doesn't seem to be effective. Go for. Really? I think I just want to had source as a CD path. So if I vet this with 116, how about vet? Yeah, line 73. Is that necessary? Nope. I don't know if go no check pointer works. Do you have to import unsafe? Well, we already are importing unsafe. Oh yeah, so yeah, no check pointer. So vet is complaining. Misplaced compiler directive. Interesting. So the tests pass this way. What's the? I forget how to run the -d. Exactly. I don't know. I guess I'll leave it alone. I know specifically here, I feel like I'm glossing over a lot about like finalizers because frankly, I just don't understand them that well. But I think I've mentioned enough places where like, you know, finalizers are a thing that will happen and you can read about it here. Like you don't really have to care about the exact details of when or when they won't run. But eventually this pattern will result in the memory consumption stabilizing, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and reflow these comments to, oops, shoot. Just to make things a little more standard. Maybe I should title this unsafe string interning and go because I feel like finalizers always make me think of C++. Yeah, you know, I've actually never really done much C++, so hang on a sec. Unsafe string interning. I think the unsafe part I know would draw my attention. Unsafe string interning and go. Let's see here. Go for intern safe but leaky. Breaking the rules. Where's the repo? There we go. I guess I should mention early on. Let's see here. Pretty neat unsafe. Sec. I definitely want to credit them at the beginning too. I feel like I don't want to take credit for this because this is not my code. I just thought it was interesting and wanted to write about it. Pretty unsafe tricks. I can't take credit for authoring the code. Let's see here. All credit for the ideas and implementation of the original code go to... I already credited Brad once. There we go. To Brad Fitzpatrick. I guess I could do probably alphabetical by last name. Dave Anderson. I follow all of them on Twitter. I just gotta go find their names. There we go. Josh Bleeker Snyder. I want to make sure I don't misspell somebody's name. I feel pretty bad, you know. I'm sure they would understand, but I'll have them review it as well. And Brad Fitzpatrick. I thought that the code and the ideas behind it were too interesting to not write up and share. Oh, this is the hang on. Talks blog. There we go. All credit for the ideas and implementation of the original code go to... there we go. Cool. Making good progress here. We're coming up on 4 hours, so thank you for the 21 people who have stuck around. I appreciate that. It's pretty cool. I think I'm probably in a place where first draft done, basically. Like, I need to write like a little conclusion and stuff, but that's about it. But I think I'm probably in a place where I want to take a break and go eat some dinner and stuff, and then, maybe I'll stream tomorrow. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I might stream tomorrow. I might, or possibly Wednesday, and I will talk to Large Databank and some others and see if we can get possibly a little hangout thing going. I think that could be very fun. So, yeah, thank you all for hanging out. This has been a blast. I appreciate all of the feedback today. You know, things has been... It's been really good. It's been really good getting to learn this stuff and go through it together, and I think we've all learned a lot. So, heck yeah, you know. Let's see if there's anybody streaming that we can go send a raid over to. I don't see any of my programming streamers streaming, unfortunately. Well, worth a go. But alrighty, thank you all so much for hanging out. I appreciate it, and be sure to follow me on Twitter, and I will share if I'm going to be streaming again. So, alrighty. Take care now. See you later.